Rays came back negative. Manager Stephen Vogt says it's just a foot contusion, and the missed game lined up with a scheduled day off. Over to the Browns, head coach Todd Monken offered some insight on the quarterback room during the NFL's annual meetings. Monken says Shedeur Sanders has been a regular in his office. He's met with Deshaun Watson once, saying he was in the building shortly after the hire, but last year's third-round pick Dylan Gabriel has yet to report. As for the quarterback competition, Monken says reps will be fluid, going to whoever gives the team the best chance to win. And LA Rams wide receiver Puka Nacua has entered a rehab facility, according to his attorney, to work on personal behavior. He's expected to complete the program well before OTAs. This comes after a lawsuit filed last month by an LA woman alleging gender violence, assault, and battery and negligence. Get all the latest Browns content filtered right to your phone this offseason by following the Browns playlist and 92.3 The Fan on the Odyssey app. Headline Sports News continues every 20 minutes on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Mackenzie Flume.
Baseball, basketball, and the Browns. It's why you need the afternoon drive. Weekdays starting at 2. Carman Show with Anthony Lima.
And he slugs one high in the air to center. Back goes Pages, still going back. On the track, at the wall, it's gone! Gabby Arias with his first home run of the year. And the Guardians, they've been testing Pages. They've been testing the warning track. They finally get one out of here. And it's 2-0 Cleveland. Ohtani with a ground ball towards second. Rocchio to Arias for one. Back to first! It was very close. And Ramon De Jesus called him safe. The Guardians will take a look to see if it's worth a challenge.
After review, the call on the field is overturned. The runner is out.
Hammer high in the air, deep left field. Hernandez back looking up. It is gone to Souvenir City, and Jose Ramirez makes it a 4-0. Guardians lead with his first home run of the year. It's a 2-out, 2-run majestic blast in deep left field. Center, deep, back is Schneemann. At the wall, book it. The Guardians come to the West Coast, and after splitting 4 in Seattle, they take 2 out of 3 from the two-time defending world champion Dodgers.
This is Cleveland Sports Radio, 92.3 The Fan.
I gotta tell you, this is as good as I think anybody's gonna feel after a 4-3 start in my entire life. Audio courtesy of Guards TV. Audio courtesy of Good Times. Audio courtesy of a fly ball that I just thought was just going to be a fly ball. Ended up carrying and carrying and carrying and carrying it out. Good morning. Spencer German in for Tone. Hello.
Morning, Ken.
How are you?
I'm doing great.
I'm as excited as I think I'm ever going to be after 7 games.
I mean, a lot of it's about who they played, right? You open the season on the road.
It's
Seattle, one of the best teams in the AL. The Dodgers, the best team in baseball, defending champs.
What was the year I was a kid? You were not, probably born yet. They started off 11-1. They started off with a West Coast trip. This has got to be 2001, 2002, somewhere in there. They started off with a West Coast. No, because it was after 2001 because that was the last gasp of that era of Guardians baseball or of Indians baseball. So they started off 11-1 and then 15-2, and things just hit the skids. And everybody was excited then. And I'm 4-3. You're playing the defending world champions, the defending back-to-back world champions. You're playing another division winner in the Seattle Mariners, and you go 4-3 on the road trip. You got the split, then you get the series win. I'm about as happy as anybody can be right now. I'm about as happy as anybody can be. This is a great feeling coming back to Cleveland, taking on the Cubs tomorrow, opening day. Underline opening day because it's our opening day. Don't give a damn. Whatever. I'm going to call it opening day here, and I'm going to call it opening day on Fox 8. Don't give a damn. I don't care. Send all your corrections all you want. Guardians are 4-3. It's a great start to the season.
I agree. Listen, we all know the score with baseball. It's 162 games.
I'm glad somebody said
it. There's going to be ebbs and flows to it emotionally. There's going to be moments. Last year, in June, they went on the hot streak and sort of turned their season around. Of course, that's going to happen.
That was later. Owen knows.
Yeah.
Owen was the one
after
person.
the All-Star break.
Was June when they actually had the win streak?
No.
June was when they struggled, and then they had the win streak.
Yes.
That's what
Spencer, you're he is the one guy in Cleveland
Spencer,
media.
I'm not concerned with the ebbs and flows. I'm concerned with the Jimmies and Joes. And Gavin Williams looks like the guy that Tanner Bybee can be the number one the opening day starter guy, and that's fine. He probably has earned that and deserves it. But dude, Gavin Williams is like the ace. Like
he was awesome last night,
and he's been awesome since that win streak stuff started.
Yeah.
I mean, Gavin Williams has consistently come out. He had 10 strikeouts last night. He was throwing 95 in the sixth inning last.
Well, how many did he walk against Seattle? Was it 6 or 5? And I know the weather was different. Okay, I understand. I'm king of saying the weather and all that other crap, which is obvious. I'm king of the obvious. God, I think you're right. I think he's the real number
guy
one.
I feel most confident that I'm like, hey, we need a win today. Put Gavin Williams out there.
Is it too early for Messick? Too early to say Messick?
I'm going to say that he's a rookie.
I know, but I love that kid.
He gave a great interview yesterday.
Man. Yes,
His
he did.
interview was great.
Yes, he did. You saw that too?
Yeah, but I stayed up for the whole. You give me an 8 o'clock start after it's been 10-10 for 6 games.
Yeah.
I'm staying up for the whole thing.
I was like 8:20, a reasonable start. My God.
The only other one we had was Sunday Night Baseball, and it was horrible for the Guardians. They played horribly in it. It was, a getaway essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was. If you didn't stay up for it, you missed something last night. It was a great game.
So when he walked Ohtani to start things off, I go, okay, we're gonna have more of this stuff, and I just was like, all right, let's labor through it. Maybe they're all slow starters. I didn't see him striking out 10 on the night and going 7. Like that was outstanding.
They had great defense behind him. Arias played great defense. You already said it. Arias got that one up in the air, ended up lofting out in center field.
Well, like he is. I'm glad you brought him up because he is probably the most hot and cold player that I've seen in years.
You know he's going to hit that wall at some point, and it's going to go down, and he'll get back. And I just hope it isn't those first 2 or 3 games against the Cubs because people are going to kill him for it, and he probably will deserve it. But he's going to get cold at some point.
And he tries to do the challenge, and there's like 2 guys right now I trust to do a challenge. Stephen Kwan, even though he's lost him, and Jose, obviously Jose. Jose's number
and those
one,
seem
and
to
then
be
Steve.
the ones that vote really trust.
Yes, and then honestly, because he's a catcher, would you say Bo Naylor?
To a degree,
okay. I mean,
you're talking about in the plate or actually during catch.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right.
At the plate.
At the plate. Yeah. Yes, at the plate. Yeah, obviously he's a catcher. He can challenge. But at the plate, would you trust Bo Naylor there? Like everybody else, like Gabby Arias is doing. I'm like, no. They
were what 2 of 12 on challenges going into last night
on the ABS challenge.
Yeah. Well, I think it's gotten to the point where I can't say that because
I was going to ask that. Do you think it's impacting? Like, do you think they're afraid to challenge?
I think that they're getting used to it to some level, but now because of the ABS challenge, I actually put it out last night. Like there was the first pitch to Jose Ramirez was so egregiously a ball, and I'm just like, I'm tapping my head in my living room, and I'm like, well, no, it's the top of the first inning. You're not going to tap it at the top of the first inning. But it makes you want to challenge everything, and now you got to play the strategy of it because I thought the strike zone was ridiculous basically all night last night. I think he locked in a little bit, but I thought the strike zone was ridiculous all night last night. And, I thought he was going to get rung up on the second one. They finally called that a ball. Ended up messing up the entire inning for me. But when it comes to trust to challenges, I think that some guys, you just got to hone it in because it's all different. I mean, we made a big deal about the shrinkage, about guys being formerly 6 feet, now they're 5'10". Some of that stuff matters, and so it kind of throws you off. And when you have the challenge, if used correctly, obviously it can be a game changer for you. We saw it with Eugenio Suarez down in Cincinnati a couple days ago, with CB Buckner's having a bad start to the season, but that's another conversation for another day. I guess I'm feeling like that'll come to him a little bit, but I don't know. 4-3 to start the year, it's just it really is. I feel much better about this than I do with some of the other stuff. I really do, Spencer.
I think the rest of the league is like 56% on ABS challenges right now, so that has to get better, but it's a minor complaint in the grand scheme of things. I think this is as good of a start as you could have hoped for if you're a Guardians fan, especially like you said, like you're coming home with a winning record, opening day here in Cleveland. You're playing the Cubs, who everybody hates. Like, for how we were talking about this team, I think, leading into the season, and a lot of people predicting, they might be around 500 for the year. I don't know how you wouldn't be excited about this start. And in a lot of ways, they played these teams at the right time because at the beginning of the season, a lot of teams are still sort of figuring themselves out. They're cold. They're trying to sort of get themselves into rhythm, pitching wise, hitting wise, whatever. Sort of steal some against the best team in baseball, one of the best teams in the AL. People should absolutely be excited about that. I think they already kind of set a bar at what they can be with a group that people didn't have a lot of faith in to begin with.
I think considering, I don't know, I don't want to sell what we're going to do at 620 a little bit here, and I want to overdo it at the beginning.
Yeah,
but I think. I see the messages, I see the emails, I see the tweets. Everybody's just mad at the other two teams in town.
Yeah.
The Browns, for obvious reasons. Where do you start? Where do you finish? The Cavs, I can't really explain it, and I know you're going to try to explain it coming up at 6:23. But everybody's just mad at the other two teams in town, and I'm thinking, how long do we go? Because how a season goes. Going back to last year, you're down by 15 games in the middle of the year, getting ready for the All-Star break, and it immediately goes from excitement to the Dolans. And I'm trying to go as far as I can because you're going to hit a lull in a season at some point. Right. There's going to be a week where we just lose a week of baseball, and that's the way it's going to go.
Ebbs and flows, Ken.
You're going to have a streak. You're going to have a good streak. You're going to have bad streaks. That's baseball. The smart guy said that's baseball, Susan. I'm trying to push it as far as I can before we get to owner talk.
Yeah.
And because owner talk to me, it's like, hey, your owner's your owner. I think I think baseball's in a resurgence. I think you got one more big thing to get across. And I think that you're looking at something of back to form of where it was in the 90s without the roids and without the gas and all the other stuff. That's another conversation for later in the show, to be honest with you. But I'm trying to push it as far as I can. And I would have been accepting a 3-4. They'd have been like, all right, you're on the West Coast, that's fine. To go at 4-3, to play the Dodgers, I know it's like, well, they start on the West Coast, you don't want those games to count. I want those games to count. It was just, I think it's just a very fine thing for a lot of fans out there. And to see Gavin Williams pitch so well, not laboring through it, but to be dominant. After what we said about Ohtani yesterday, which drew the ire of some Dodgers fans out there, and I don't care. I came away really inspired by it. I love what Gabby Arias did, just because he is I think at times he is an enigma for a lot of fans. I think for his own organization, it's like the guy has talent. What do I do with the guy? Sometimes I don't think the guy always puts the best foot forward or tries to do that. I know that we're excited about Bazana, and like the first thing we're thinking about is like, all right, when Bazana comes up, Rocchio's a try-hard. I'll leave Rocchio here. Maybe Arias needs to go because I need everybody on deck. I need everybody ready to go. But a performance like yesterday, it tends to change your mind because obviously there's a little bit of gold in them there hills. But I don't want to overblow the first week of baseball, but it was just when they went up 2-0. I go, I cannot believe. I think we got a chance. This is incredible. This is a great, great moment. I'm sorry. That's just how I felt.
Again, if you were looking for a start to the season that gave you some confidence in what this year could be, I think this was it. I mean, I saw the stat. Al Pawlowski put this out that Gavin Williams is the third Cleveland pitcher in club history to strike out 10+ Dodgers in a game, and the only other two to do it were Kluber and CC Sabathia. So it's like you're seeing these great performances, and Williams kind of does feel like the guy who can stabilize things if he can be that ace-style pitcher. And see him sort of bounce back from the performance he had. His first start was great. I don't know. I also think, too, and I know it's sort of weird to ask this while he's hurt right now.
Okay.
But it does feel like to me you kind of saw the true potential of this team. And I know it's early. It's the first week of baseball, like you said, Ken, with Chase DeLauder in the lineup. Like, I know what he did those first 4 games.
He'll be back tomorrow.
I mean, that's what I mean. Like, I know. But
unless I didn't see something overnight, Judas Priest. Okay.
What I'm saying though is like
contusion. He'll be back.
When he already suffered like one injury this season, it only kept him out for a short period of time. Yes, I know that's the big thing, waiting for the other shoe to drop with him. But you already saw in the early stages, and with the 4-3 start to sort of complement it. If he can stay healthy this season, the predictions and things that people had on this team, I think, were probably a little bit misguided because they're seeing a young team that wasn't going to be ready. But if he can do what he was, I'm not saying he's going to hit 4 home runs in 3 games every stretch of the season, but still, like, he adds something that this lineup just didn't have. And if you get the pitching coming around like it did, like this start was about as perfect as you could ask for if you're a Guardians fan, because the hype train for Chase DeLauter was he lived up to it. And then, yes, he got hurt, but the team continued to sort of function without him and win games.
I don't want to put too much on him because he's still such a young player. But there's a lot of hope because we've been pining for any power, consistent power, for a very long period of time. Basically, since you go back to Travis Hafner. Consistent power, and I'm seeing Jose Ramirez, who's now crested into his 30s. At some point, there will be a diminishing return. At some point, I can't rely on him to do everything in the lineup, and so I need somebody to protect him in the lineup and somebody that actually poses a threat. Other than a bunch of guys who can maybe hit a single, hit a double every now and then, poke a home run out. Like I need a guy who could be a threat there and can help them carry that lineup the way that we see with some of the top lineups in professional baseball. And I think that Chase DeLauter has that possibility. So if DeLauter's able to go out there, it obviously the health is going to be a big deal. But I can't sit there and keep talking about health. It's just it is what it is. We all know that he could be banged up. We all know that there's a history there. That's why I'm so sensitive to talk about him and make comparisons to other guys. But with DeLauter,
I understood the take.
It is a thank you. Well, I'm glad somebody.
I knew
does.
what you meant.
I'm an often misunderstood person. With a guy like DeLauter, who if he can protect Jose Ramirez and give him something better to hit, and I can go into a postseason either this year or I hope every year, but this year and next year, God willing, and the year after, as Jose starts to age, he can be better protected, and then we don't have to have these weird-ass conversations going into the postseason anymore about Jose. Like, that is the ultimate goal here when it comes to Chase. 216-474-0092. I want to get back to that thought when we come back and what you were saying there, Spencer. Also, guys, I'm still excited. Spencer says, I am in denial, and I ain't talking about the Browns next. Ken Carman, Spencer, German, potato salad, in for Tone on the Fan.
Shane Profit. Win a trip for two, including round-trip airfare, 2-night hotel stay, and a pair of tickets to the show. Get registered to win this national contest now at 923thefan.com.
Listen to 92.3 The Fan on the Odyssey, iHeartRadio, and TuneIn app. Mary Kay Cabot, 8:20 this morning. Spencer German in for Tone today. Tone back tomorrow. There will be a coming in hot. There will be a coming in hot. And it won't be bogarted by other hosts. My dad yelled at me about that last week. When Big Ken's upset, that ain't good.
He yelled at you about what?
You have it coming in hot, Kenny, and then you only take 3 calls. I am like, hey, man, we had to get other people in. What are you going to do? But we'll have coming in hot coming up tomorrow at 9:45. Also, today at 9:45, this is why you got to listen to the whole show. I will respond to one of the greatest, somebody saying it was a champion's pose yesterday. I will respond. Guys, it's to the rest of the people on the fan, it's okay to admit I was right every now and then. It's okay. I know the guy down the hallway gets you going, but you got to be careful. There's only certain guys that can lock me into the box, and it's usually the guy sitting in your chair, Spencer. There's only certain people who can do it. It's okay to admit that I was right. And I'll play that audio coming up at 9:45 this morning. 216-474-0092. Before we get to the Cavs, what were you going to say about Spence or Chase DeLauder? I keep wanting to say Eugenio Suarez. I can't say his name
you can't
right.
get his name
I
right?
can't do it, so I just try to say it quickly and say Suarez.
Chase DeLauder is a lot easier to say.
Go ahead.
No, it wasn't even just specifically about him, but I feel like as like a kibosh to us talking about how excited you can or can't be to start the season 4-3. It feels to me like what are the boxes, Ken, that you feel like needed to be checked by this Guardians team when the season started? You wanted to see DeLauder, and if he could live up to the hype. You wanted to see what the pitching looked like. Gavin Williams kind of answered that. Sabrowski's been incredible. Obviously, you mentioned Messick in the first. I think a lot of the boxes that you wanted checked got checked. Maybe the 2 biggest ones are they're not doing well with ABS, and Cade Smith has struggled. Those are maybe the 2.
I'll say this. I didn't know how much hype I could have for Chase because we're just all kind of crossing our fingers. He came up with the postseason last year. Obviously, he's a big-time player.
He became this thing of origin the last couple of years, though, because especially last year because of how well he was playing, and the Guardians were so they were pussyfooting around are we gonna? We can't really call him up yet, and everyone had questions about why. And then it was he was injured, and so I think last year he kind of became.
It felt to me like they waited for him to get injured.
Well, that's what I said. All last year I was why wait? Just get him up here so he's at least getting at bats, and if he gets hurt, at least he gets hurt giving you at bats at the majors. But it became this thing where it was larger than life. That's why I think the hype train was so big. But yeah, I to me, this first 7 games has. If you go into a season understanding, like we said, it's 162, there's going to be ups and downs or whatever, there was probably boxes that people want to check. I think they checked most of those, and so you should absolutely be excited about it as opening day looms tomorrow.
It was interesting because I think I want John to ask a question about last night about the Dodgers because the internet can get you going. I know what I said about Shohei yesterday morning.
What did you say?
I just thought it was odd that one guy faces 65 years in prison, the other guy found a fall guy.
Oh, yeah.
Shohei is one of the greatest players, probably the greatest player of this generation. He's wonderful. I mean, he did cheat and had his interpreter, take the downfall for it.
Allegedly.
It's fine. I'm sorry, not cheat. He gambled. I got that wrong.
There you go.
That's on me. That's my bad. He's been great.
It is kind of funny how quickly that's just kind of not nobody really talks about it. And then every now and then we talk about it.
What? Well, honestly, I will say for the good of the game, I really that we're playing the Dodgers. That we're playing the Dodgers. I had to say the quiet part out loud because I can't help myself. I do think about
it. The Dodgers got one finally. It's about time.
For the good of the game, though, there's a lot of things that I think we kind of want to look the other way. Because I see a research. I'll say this, and I want you to get to the thing where you're saying I'm in denial.
Yeah.
But with ABS, I thought about this last night. I'm enjoying it. I didn't think I would enjoy it this much. I don't want robot umpires for the reasons I specified with Tone at the beginning of the week. But I got a faster moving, faster paced ball game.
Yeah.
I got ABS that has been so far a success, and I think it's going to continue to be a success. I think it adds strategy. I think it adds more of the human element, questioning the human element to it. I'm thinking, man, if we just get past this winter and you really can give the fans what they desire, because I know that there's been arguments against it, and I just hear a lot of players' union arguments against it, and I'm not trying to bog it down. I'll leave it here. But if you can get that cap and floor, I think that in the next decade, you could see baseball be back to where it is in the 90s.
I agree.
I think that we know so many more names than we used to. I've paid Owen knows this. Ever since I hate to say this, ever since COVID, because 2019 was not a good year for me watching baseball. Ever since COVID, you try to sit down, you watch every single game to the point you mark them down. I've watched more baseball over the last 5 years than I probably did in the previous 10, 15 before that.
Yeah.
And I think that if you could just get past that final frontier, I don't know if anything will touch football. But you could put yourself in a position where the NBA is trying to fix their problems. I think they've made it so convoluted on some of their problems. This could be simple. This is something we can see. This is something that is bringing people back to the ballpark because you have a time where they know it will end, and it can be such a better game for everybody. I'll leave it there. I'll leave it there.
I'll say this real quick. Baseball used to do so much wrong, and they've lately done so much right.
And we used to focus on everything they did wrong.
Right, but you are right in that it feels like the CBA is the upcoming CBA negotiations are kind of this elephant in the room where it's like, all right, is that going to – are you going to build on the momentum?
Yes.
Or are you going to set this thing back to what it was when we would just rag on them?
And left with their own devices.
You're 100% right about that.
You know what will end up happening there. All right, coming up at 6:43, I know what Todd Monken said to Daniel Oyefusi, and I'm just going to reserve the right to not believe him because I think he showed his hand there on one thing. I'm still excited about where this team could go in the postseason. You say I'm in denial. Tell me why I'm in denial about the Cavs.
I just think I understand why we need to have expectations for this team. When you trade for James Harden at the trade deadline, you absolutely should be talking about the potential that they can be a team that wins the championship. When that trade went down, I don't know what the odds are right now. When that trade went down, they skyrocketed to number 3 or number 2, whatever the hell it was, in terms of odds to win the championship. I get it. And I'm not telling you not to be excited and go into the playoffs and have expectations by any stretch of the imagination. When you take the big swings like that, that should be what the bar is set at. But I also think that there's a level of denial for some of us when it comes to this team and how far they actually can go. Everything with this team right now, Ken, is if this, if that, and none of these ifs, we haven't gotten answers to any of them. It's, well, hey, if Kenny figures out the rotations and how he wants to do these things, he's starting a whole another starting lineup the other night.
I think he has figured out the rotations. How has he not figured out the rotations? He's forced to do these things because of injuries. He doesn't even know what his starting 5 is going to be. Because he's forced to do it because of all the injuries that have happened.
But injuries are a part of the ifs too. It's if this team team can stay healthy. They've been healthy all season.
I disagree.
We just found out that Jared Allen has a knee injury that's going to linger into the playoffs.
Yeah, I understand that. And that's
so all this idea, this magical idea that the playoffs are going to get here and everything's just going to be fine and they'll know the rotations and they'll know the chemistry with James Harden will be figured out in 2 months. And everything's going to be happy, hunky-dory, and everything's going to be good, and everyone's going to be healthy.
No,
that doesn't exist.
It's not going to be
unicorn.
It's not going to be hunky-dory. But I mean, my goal for this team is at least the Eastern Conference Finals.
I think that's
and then
fair.
They have a series against the Boston Celtics.
I also think
I got people and callers getting in saying that this team's going to lose in the first round against the Atlanta Hawks, and I just think everybody's stoned. So where is the denial at? Because I think that they're in denial, thinking that this team is a bunch of garbage. Injuries are injuries. There's nothing I can do with injuries. But the way that some people are talking about this team that has no talent or no heart or any of those other things, and I'm sorry, maybe it's the media, maybe it's us leading them into it, because I think there's a lot of guys behind microphones who just haven't watched them this year.
Yeah.
And I think it's wrong, and I think that because we don't know what we're looking at because we haven't looked at it, I think we're leading people to just get mad at something that we're really not trying to understand. We're not understanding it because we're not trying to understand the Cavs.
Yeah.
That's my issue with it.
I think the truth is probably somewhere in between those extremes, Ken. I think the people who are calling in saying, they're going to get bounced the first round to Atlanta are probably misguided. I also think the people who think they could definitely win the Eastern Conference are also a little misguided because I think the truth is somewhere in the middle. Would I be surprised if they end up bounced in the second round again?
I would.
I would not.
I would.
Here's what I would say.
I really would, especially to Detroit if they get that 4th seed.
So the one thing that but that works in their favor is that this Eastern Conference is largely, for once, we can say the Cavs are going into the playoffs as one of the higher seeds, and they have more playoff experience than some of these other teams. But that's also why it's pivotal that they stay in the 4 spot and they don't get the Celtics in the second round, because I think the Celtics are the worst matchup for them. But again, if they lost in the second round to the Pistons, I think they'd probably win that series. I would predict them to win that series. But if it happened, I wouldn't be surprised, because I just think there's still so much with this team right now that is just magical, mythical, that we're not going to have answers to by the time the playoffs roll around. But yes, if the playoffs schedule rolls out the way that we're hoping and they stay in that 4 spot and they don't jump the Knicks to get to 3, then yeah, the one thing that works in their favor is you get a team in the 5 seed that we think they should beat in Atlanta, although Atlanta has been a bad matchup for them at times.
I know.
And then you get the Pistons, who are just inexperienced, and it's JB Bickerstaff, and we know the whole deal there. They're a very physical team, which I know people are worried about, but I think they have no offense except for Cade Cunningham. You should be okay. And then, yes, if you get to the Eastern Conference Finals, it's progress, and that's hopefully the way that it plays out. But I just think, like, if you think they're losing the first round, I think that's wrong. But I also think I wouldn't be surprised if they lose in the second round.
I would. I'd be shocked. If things stay the way they are, I'll basically I want to throw the G word out there. I'm saying they're going to the Eastern Conference Finals. If things stay the way they are, they're going to the Eastern Conference Finals, Spencer. And if they go to the Eastern Conference Finals, and I still got people bitching my ear off. I mean, if they go out there and they just get rolled up by Boston in 4 games, I mean, I have to hear that. But if I hear people bitching my ear off over this team going to the Eastern Conference Finals and losing in a 6-game series or something, I'm just going to lose my mind, because I don't understand what the Cavs have done to everybody to make them such an unlikable group, other than, they've lost in the postseason. We're kind of getting there, and plus we've had to make some trades because they're trying to maximize it. Do we or do we not want our basketball team? Do we or do we not want our professional sports teams in general to go all in? We do. And then we're complaining and upset because I think we're scared. We're complaining and upset if they don't get to where we need them to go. Guys, there's no more LeBron James out there. I mean, technically there is, but there's no prime LeBron. There's no prime LeBron James out there. I can't just expect it anymore. It's tough, and it still takes time. 216-474-0092. I'll ask you, am I in denial about the Cavs and their prospects for the postseason? Is Spencer right? Am I in denial? Mary Kay 820, 7 o'clock. You all love your children. You don't always like them all. And I think the Guardians are the prime example of this week. I'll explain at 7:03. Ken Carman, Spencer German, in for Tone on the Fan. Hey.
reported at Snow and Smith, and Route 20 between Waterford and Millmore Drive is closed due to storm debris. This is Kayla Coljohn on 92.3 The Fan.
Don't trust anybody with your Cavs coverage unless they have sports in their name. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
I flat out don't believe Todd Monken, and I'll tell you why coming up here in moments. However, Spencer says I'm in denial about the Cavs. A big question about the Guardians coming up at 7. There's a hell of a lot of things to get to here. 216-474-0092. Spencer German in for Tone. Tell me why I'm in denial, Spencer.
I didn't even bring up the defensive part of this.
Because they're not trying. They'll try in the postseason.
When has James Harden ever tried on defense?
When the postseason is there, he will try. When the
Guy's a traffic cone on the perimeter.
When the postseason starts, he will try in the postseason to play defense.
I just think it's concerning to me that 3 weeks before the regular season's coming to an end and the playoffs are starting, you have Kenny Atkinson coming into a postgame press conference in a game that they won, mind you, and actually, our friend Danny Cunningham asked the question, and the question was about Donovan and James' offensive performance, and he made a point to make his answer completely about how bad the defense was.
Yeah, and then they got their ass kicked the next night, and he said how happy he was with their effort and their performance. They were down by 20 at halftime. I love what we're doing here.
But the difference
That's his words, not mine.
But the difference is he's been complaining about the defensive effort since the beginning of the season. That's one of those things that, and in December, it's okay to be concerned about it. And even Donovan talked about, hey, if we get to January and we're having the same problems, then it's concerning. Okay, they kind of steadied the waters, and then they made the trade. And again, I want to be clear. I'm not saying they shouldn't have gone all in and done all this. Yes, the goal is to win championships here.
Okay.
I just think we haven't, the sample size with this new group hasn't been enough. Kenny, I think, is still trying to figure out what the right concoction of players is at times. He does it, he's got to figure out what his 9-man rotation is going to look like. All right, I think right now Dennis Schroeder is probably not part of it because he's just been pretty bad of late. But I think the defensive effort being a concerning thing all season long, I don't think that at this point, Ken, everyone always says the regular season doesn't matter. But the reason the regular season matters to me is that it's about establishing and building good habits. Listen, and right now, their defensive performance, they don't have good habits on defense. I don't think that just magically gets fixed. They might play a little harder, but I don't think it magically gets fixed.
I think this is a conversation for the Pistons. I don't think this is a conversation for the Cavs. Now, I don't know how the Pistons are playing defense, but what I'm saying is if you're mentioning about the good habits and stuff, one, I have tempered my expectations a little bit here because I know there's some people who want to get in here and hammer me for something I said earlier this year. The second thing is that, you got a 36-year-old multi-time All-Star, former MVP. You got another guy who's been in the MVP conversation. I got Jared Allen, who I know isn't at 100%, but you got veterans here for crying out loud. The only one that I might be worried about when it comes to being able to flip a proverbial switch going into the postseason is Evan. I think that he might find himself in the crosshairs because if you're right and they do get bounced in the second round, I just can't see them getting bounced by the Pistons in the second round. If they do get bounced in the second round by the Pistons here, then Brady's going to be a DEFCON 1, including maybe Donovan. But that's going to be a different set of circumstances because of how people might feel about Donovan after that. I just look at this and I say, I got a bunch of veterans here. We used to complain about some of the same things in the previous iteration of LeBron's Cavs with some of the other Cavaliers. Not really LeBron, but everybody else. I cannot see them going out there and playing half-assed on switches, not closing out, not doing the things that they do. I think there's times where they can serve. And if I'm wrong, then fine. I'm an excuse maker for the Cleveland Cavaliers, but they will have fooled me. Because I'm going to put it on veterans to be able to step in there and be veterans when the postseason comes. Especially two guys in James Harden and Donovan Mitchell who have been lambasted throughout their entire career about what they do in the postseason. I assume that they're going to be trying much harder in the postseason, Spencer.
I also just think you've seen, and we saw it in the Lakers game the other night, they can't defend other teams' wings, which is, actually, I think Lima was tweeting about this, the idea that they needed DeAndre Hunter from the playoffs last year to be that guy, and he wasn't that guy, which is why they made the trade. And I'm not saying it was a bad decision to trade him. He was playing terribly. But they don't have somebody that can guard other teams' wings. The defensive stuff is concerning. The injuries are concerning. Injuries derailed their postseason last year, largely. Like, they might have had a better fight of an effort against the Pacers had guys not gotten hurt. And we're already starting with Jared Allen dealing with a knee injury that's going to linger into the playoffs.
I want to take two quick, and then I want to get to these comments from Todd Monken to Daniel Yafusi, our buddy from over at ESPN. Travis and Brook Park, you're first up on the Fan. Yellow.
Morning. How you guys doing?
We're doing wonderful, Travis.
Morning, Travis.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So, sorry to get right to it, but you are absolutely being disingenuous because you said after the trade, you're penciling them into the finals. And then as the weeks have gone on, you slowly have backed out to now that you're at the point where you and Lima are campaigning for them to stay at the 4th seed so they can avoid playing the Celtics. And now Eastern Conference Finals is.
I didn't say.
Is Ken a flip-flopper?
Hold on. That's not flip-flopping.
100% flip-flopping. 100%
One, Travis.
Get him, Travis.
One, Travis.
Ken backpedal?
It's in pencil. Okay, I didn't put it in pen. I didn't put it in Sharpie. It's in pencil. Now, after I've said my silly thing, 2. All right? Let's come back to reality here. I never said at one point, bring on all comers. I learned my lesson. I told you this from the 2017 ALDS.
You want a fool's gold NBA playoffs?
That's not fool's gold. Don't say it like that, Travis. I had to dump that. Don't say it like that again. You can say it in a different tone, but not that. All right, let me say this. What seed were the Indiana Pacers last year when they got to the finals? They were not the number 1 seed. They were not the number 1 seed.
They were also playing their best basketball down the stretch of the season.
That is obviously a little bit of a concern. But I'm not – you can't knock the Cavs when I just saw another team beat the Cavs in a series, make the Cavs look lost at times because of how bad of a matchup it was. You can't do that when I just gave you the example there. I can't hammer – Travis, thank you for the call. I can't hammer good planning. I won't hammer good planning. I'm glad Travis called me on it. I should be open and honest about that, but
it's the slipperiest you've been in a while.
I'm not slippery at all.
Now I'm the slippery.
I was going to say, Lima's gone. He becomes a slippery wizard.
Pick up the slack around
here.
There's
butterscotches out there if you need one.
Kyle and Euclid, go.
All I got to say is Spencer's a hater, just like a couple of my other friends. I'm with you, Ken.
Rack 'em.
Boom.
You're either a Cavs fan or you're not.
I'm a realist.
And
I'm a realist, Kyle.
When they beat Boston, you don't deserve to cheer for them because me and Ken are cheering for the Cavs right now.
All right, Kyle.
So,
call me
Kyle,
back.
Thank you.
Call me
Kyle,
back when they get the 3 seed and they play the Celtics in the second round, and we're talking about another early exit.
8:20, Mary Kate Cabot's going to join us on the show. Spencer German in for Lima today. So Danielle Yafusi talked to, as a sidebar, talked to Todd Monken. I want to make this quick because I want to make sure that this gets in because we got more Guardians coming up at 7. But let me say this. He asked Todd Monken a little bit more about, why he hasn't watched much film of Deshaun Watson in the past. And he followed up and asked why he wouldn't watch prior film as he decides to divide QB reps this spring. This is what Monken had to say. This is courtesy of Daniel Yafusi here. So, quote, I haven't drilled down into that. Have I watched a little bit of it? Of course, but there's also some aspects of it, so I would say this. We have crossover tape. Have I seen Deshaun Watson play before? Of course. I saw him play against us when I was in Baltimore. Did we play the Cowboys 2 years ago after Cleveland opened up the season with Dallas? Yes. Is that great film to watch on Deshaun Watson? Absolutely not. And then he continues to go into it. This is a very long answer. And he says, I've seen a really good football player. I know what I've seen over the years. We're hoping to be able to tap into that. I know he's excited, and we're excited to work with him like we are with Dylan, like we are with Shedeur. There's always that couching there, right? And there's talk about the film he watched because there was the Gary Myers, New York Daily News, great author. We've had him on the show many times talking about how he got into the Jackson Dart tape. Why is he watching Jackson Dart tape, but he wasn't watching any of our QBs? And I go, because he ain't telling you the truth. If you're able to, and I'm not calling the guy a liar, because he's not lying in this. That's not a lie, okay? But if you're able to recall, that game was 3 years ago against the Cowboys. If you're able to recall right off the rip like that, okay, you've been watching tape. You're a football coach. You're an offensive mind. You've worked with quarterbacks, and you know you have to see the bad. You have to wince and see the bad to see what he's doing wrong and what you can fix if you have to tap that glass and break into him. You're watching that tape. I don't believe for a second he ain't watching much tape on any of these guys. I think that when he took this job, he looked at it, goes, this is my one chance to be a head coach in the NFL. I know the cards have been dealt. They probably ain't great cards. Let's see what we have here and if I can roll up my sleeves. I'm willing to stake anything that he has been watching a lot of tape on all these guys. If you're watching that much about Jackson Dart and you're going, oh my gosh, I can do great things with this offensively. Great. By the way, maybe I was wrong on Jackson Dart all this time. We'll see what he does in year 2. But when I go into this season and I have the head coach of the football team, we're not watching a lot of the bad tape. We're not seeing a lot. No, I'm sorry. I just flatly don't believe you. It is not true. You're a guy who believes in organization.
Yeah.
You're a guy who made Freddie Kitchens look worse with how organized you were in 2019. And when you're able to recall right off the tippy top in an answer about the Dallas Cowboys game week 1, listen, I know that he has only football to worry about. I know that these guys think differently and they have great memories here. If you're able to recall that from a game from week 1 3 years ago, you've been watching the tape, sir. You've been watching the tape.
Yeah, I thought the answer to the question about when he talked about watching Jackson Dart's tape and feeling like he had almost like a foot in the door in New York, and then the Browns thing kind of came to fruition. And he flat out said, he made sure everything was sort of going to be the way he wanted it with the Browns. Like he had to kind of be convinced like this is the right opportunity for you, even though it was his first chance to be a head coach. To me, that says how could he not go into this thing totally prepared for what he was stepping into? And even if he didn't watch a ton of Deshaun tape at that time, how has he not, 2 months into this thing? I know he was hiring his staff and all that, at least peeped some of that. I think more so he just kind of has an understanding of where Deshaun's at right now, and he's kind of letting it be where it's going to be. But I agree with you, Ken. I think there's no way he doesn't have a sense of what he's getting with Deshaun at this point.
7:23, we've been trying to warn each other all this for months because all deep down we all had the same feeling. Coming up in 5 minutes, you love all your children, but you don't always like them. And I found out that last night after what Gavin Williams did against the Los Angeles Dodgers. Ken Carman, Spencer German in for Tone. Keep it here, 92.3 The Fan, 92.3thefan.com. Listen to us on the free Odyssey app. And obviously,
starting at 2. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
It's about as good as it gets from Gavin right there. Had every pitch working. He and Bo were on the same page. Great sequences all night. And Gavin just executed pitch after pitch after pitch. And, we saw a couple kind of bad walks mixed in there, but then dialed it right back in. So just outstanding job by Gavin. I can't say enough about that performance tonight.
Struck out 10. Went 7 strong. Guardians win. Guardians get the series win over the Los Angeles Dodgers. They're 4-3 to start the season. Everybody's happy. And let me ask you this question. You see, Spencer German is in for Anthony Lima today. And eventually at 8:20, I'm going to ask Mary Kay Cabot a question. Mary Kay questions a Cabot about, has the leader of the Browns QB changed with everybody taking a snap or anybody taking a snap, or has it been this way all along? Mary Kay is going to answer that at 8:20. But I have to ask you a question about the Guardians. In fact, I have to ask you, Spencer, a question about all 3 teams. How many children do you have, Spencer?
Just one.
You have 1.
So right now, that is my favorite.
Owen has 6. I got 3.
You got a favorite, Owen?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, we all do. Eli's my favorite. We all love our children. You don't always like them all at the same time. There's times where they make you upset. That's okay. You love all 3 teams in Cleveland. Do people like the Guardians the most right now? It's got to be I think it's an easy yes. I think it's an easy yes. I have to ask the question.
I think it's an easy yes as well.
You're really thinking about it, aren't you?
Well, because
you don't have any other kids, you're not going to upset them.
I don't think the Browns. Obviously, the Browns. I think everyone's just mad at the Browns right now. The Cavs, in lieu of the conversation we just had.
I don't think everybody's mad at the Browns right now. I think there's some people, as the off season starts to go back up towards the draft, there are some people starting to. Even myself, I was on a podcast on Saturday, and I started to go, if you get Carnell Tate and you did, maybe you can get like you start to talk yourself into it. We're at that point where now we're going back up the ladder here. Cavs, it seems that me and Lime are the only people who like him.
Isn't there a universal anger though with the Browns just because of years and years of bad decisions and the Deshaun thing? Like, isn't it kind of that? So I think there's kind of always this constant.
There's also for some people just
hanging over then.
Blah, like they just there they are, and here we go with all this.
I think in lieu of the conversation we had about the Cavs, people are obviously upset with the Cavs and some of the bad habits and some of the things as the playoffs are looming that just haven't necessarily gotten corrected. And with the Guardians. It's the season just started. There's a lot of good juju opening days tomorrow. So I think it's certainly fair to say. I've always thought this, Ken, and maybe you feel differently. The Guardians kind of feel like the palate cleanser in town. Because they're always like the Browns have had the ineptitude over the years and they've done things wrong and there's a lot of losing in there. And yeah, the fun seasons, the good seasons, man, that is like all-time high stuff for Cleveland fans. Like they love when the Browns. We know this town loves when the Browns are good. And there's only been few and far between.
I was going to say it happens so rarely. I really don't know how to act when they're good.
It's been few and far between, but when they're good, it's like things are good. But when they're bad, it's just misery. People are angry. It's then you have the Cavs, who at a time were going to the finals every year, and that was stressful in its own right. And you had LeBron. And it was fun to enjoy that. It was the championship, everything that kind of transpired with it. It was obviously incredible. But the Cavs also, I think at that time, it was a stressful watch. I think the Guardians kind of serve as the happy medium where you know what you're getting every year. They're going to be in the playoff conversation every year. Yeah, they BS around with a lot of the minutia of building a roster and service time manipulation, and they don't call guys up early enough, and they try to play all these games, and they don't spend a lot of money, and people get mad about that. But guess what? Every year in September and October, you're going to know that your team is in that conversation, in that mix, and you know that you can always kind of count on them to at least be there and be a team that you can be excited about. Does that sound like a good description?
I think in so many ways, yes. 216-474-0092. I mean, are the Guardians the most liked team in Cleveland right now? I'd have to say, I don't know if it's easy, but I think it's a yes. I think there's maybe some people waking up to baseball right now. When you start on the West Coast, I've given all those reasons for a million times over. But, when you beat the Dodgers 2 out of 3 games and you do well against, Yoshi Yamamoto, when you do well against him in general, I think it does give you a little bit because there are games that we look a little bit different at. And I think there are people who don't want to get their hopes up. They get very cynical about them a time or two. And we'll get calls in the doldrums, and it's happened year after year after year, where you beat the brakes off the American League Central, but if you lose a series to the Yankees, quote, this is why you're not taken seriously. The Red Sox in the past were that type of team. The Dodgers are that type of team where they are a measuring stick. It's an early season measuring stick. And I would say to a person, had they lost 2 out of 3 to the Dodgers and the Guardians are doing really well later on in the season, that die, I go, well, it's early in the year. Yeah, I can make a lot of things work the way I want them to because it's a long baseball season. But it's still one of these things now that I get the highlight going, all right, 2 out of 3 against the Dodgers. We'll see what they do for the rest of the year. I mean, if they finish with 70 wins this year, which they're not gonna, but if they finish with 70 wins this year, yeah, you obviously say it was fool's gold, whatever, that's baseball. But I think you're looking for little things to make you feel better. It's at a rookie, or to make you feel more confident that this year is a year that they get back to the postseason, they win a series, maybe they get to the ALCS, and then you sit there and you think, why not us? So I see young guys doing well. I see Gavin Williams obviously going 7 strong yesterday, striking out 10. It's great stuff to the point where, we're all kicking around at the beginning of the show at 6:03. Is he the real ace of this staff?
Yeah.
If you have an ace, is he really the true number 1 of this staff right now? Because Tanner Bybee's a fine pitcher. Not taking anything away from him. But I think that maybe we're looking more towards service time or something like that to talk about a number 1, where really I look at Gavin Williams. I still think it's easy to get excited about Gavin Williams. You want to have the most confidence in him. If you've listened to anything, and I know there's been a lot of broad statements, but when we talk about the Guardians, I'm a big fan of Parker Messick. And I think that good God, I tell you, Joey Cantillo just out there battling through it and getting them in a position to win baseball games. I think that he's more underrated than what we want to give. But there's just a lot to like about him. I think the Cavs right now, I think we're at a crossroads with our emotions. The Browns, I think a lot of people are down on them. And when we're talking about a quarterback that nobody really wants to see, I think that people get even more down on them. And to the point where, you hear it in our voices. I've written down all those quarterbacks. There's a lot of stuff where I'm like, hey, I want you to do well. I want you to do well every year. But I have to be realistic about it, and I have to look at 2027, where this team, we're starting off right now. You've won 2 AL Centrals in a row. You're a team that's going to be formidable again, it looks like, here in 2026.
I also think, I don't know what to lessen it, because the fact that ownership hasn't spent money is a legitimate problem. But I also think it's not just exclusive to Cleveland, right? It's kind of a baseball problem. It's honestly,
to me, that's a July problem. That's a trade deadline problem.
It's the impetus of why we had conversations about the CBA negotiations coming up. It's not. But because the Guardians have been so successful, it feels like that becomes more of a trivial thing in our minds. Because, and I've talked about this before. I've joked about this. As much as we hate on the Dolans for not spending money, they kind of always get the last laugh, Ken. They get to sit there in October and be like, hey, yeah, you were mad at us, but we're here again. We're right back. I get it. People want more, and they do need to spend more money. But I think you go through a whole season with the Guardians every year, and it's like, oh, well, we're going to always end up in the same place pretty much. So do we really have it that bad, all things considered? And with the other teams, there's just, I think the emotions thing with the Cavs is very spot on. We don't know how to feel, because if it doesn't go well this year, Donovan Mitchell could be on the outs. And what does that mean? The Browns obviously still trying to find a quarterback. They took the big swing with Deshaun. That didn't work out. So there's less emotion, I think, when it comes to the Guardians. It's always the same thing with the Guardians. It's you didn't spend enough money. And then we get to October and we're like, it's not as bad as we maybe thought here. But yes, at some point you hope they correct that. But I don't think it has to be to again relate to the conversation. I think that's largely why we can feel better about this team than the other teams.
Well, we're also thinking about a lot of things. There's been a lot of things that have just exhausted us with the Browns. Okay? Yeah. And it feels like there's a lot of things coming to the end. Every year we're talking about Miles possibly being traded now. There's a lot of things that are just seemingly, quote unquote, coming to an end. If the Cavs lose before they're supposed to lose, if it's a first-round exit, people are going to be losing their minds. And then we're talking about Donovan Mitchell's future. It's just like what you said. With the Guardians, there's a lot of things of what's the promise to come. Because you can be as mad as you want that they're not in on guys that they never would have been in on the first place because they're going to – I mean, when you got Juan Soto 2 years ago getting $735 million, you're just not going to be in that conversation. It's just not going to happen. And I can be as mad as I want that they're not realistically in any of these conversations. Or I can say, well, I got Chase DeLauder coming up here looking good. I'm excited about Travis Bazzana. I'm excited about George Valera once the calf is fine, and I know he's down at AAA right now. I'll be excited about that. Like, I'm excited about what's to come. I'm excited about the possibility, even though I'm a guy who says keep them at arm's length because owners are not meant to be liked.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people going, hey, when this David Blitzer guy takes over, there's a possibility he's going to make a splash move. We've all admitted he's going to make a splash move. That's something to get excited about.
You and I are very much in agreement on this, Ken.
Yes.
I know you were talking about it last week a little bit because I think it was Nick that was talking about or tweeting about like it can't happen soon enough that they pass the team over to Blitzer, and I'm kind of like, we sure about that? Like what happened to the injection of money that he was going to bring into the equation when he signed on? Like I don't. Do we know for sure that he's going to run the team any differently? He's a hedge fund guy or whatever. He's not coming in. He's trying to run like a business.
The only thing I heard, I'll say this quick. To stick up for Nick a little bit, record this because I never do. We always throw each other under the bus every chance we get.
He drills on Nick every day except the day that I'm here.
Everything I've heard about Blitzer is that he'll run it the same way it's being run as long as it's running like a business. Like, he's not going to come in and start getting his hands on things and doing crazy things and stuff like that.
But that also doesn't mean he's going to spend a lot of more money either. And I think that's what people think.
But if you are able to get what you want out of the players' union conversation coming up here this winter,
that's the big kicker,
then maybe that changes. And maybe he's looked at in a totally different light because of that. There's a lot of things, though, that I think give Cleveland fans a lot of hope with the Guardians where there's a lot of scary uncertainty with the other two, I have to admit.
The Guardians have mastered, by the way, like selling hope to the fans, but the difference is generally it pays off in some way, shape, or form. Like, it's like, we're still making the playoffs with this young group of guys. The Browns try to sell hope, but it just never quite gets there. And that's why I think the point is sound on you that they're probably like the palate cleanser favorite kid of the group.
216-474-0092 are the Guardians the most liked in Cleveland right now. And I'm going to get to you guys on that. And we've been trying to warn each other, quote unquote, for months. Because deep down, we all been thinking the same thing. Spencer in for Tone. Mary Kay in an hour on the Fan.
Sports news continues every 20 minutes on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Mackenzie Flume.
.45, it's the right thing. It was just the wrong messenger. Because you're going to hear it from somebody else and go, oh, maybe it is a good idea. Okay. Spencer, German potato salad, in for Anthony Lima today, 216-474-0092. Also, we've all been thinking the same thing. That's why we're trying to warn each other on all this stuff. I do want to get to I want to get to these calls. Who's the most liked right now? Because I think it's without hands down. I think we're just waiting for the other shoe to drop for the Cavaliers. As much as I hate that, as much as Lima hates that, we've been more pom-pom waving on this show than what a lot of our counterparts have been. I don't know why. I just don't think that it's. I think there's a lot of stuff that's explainable, not making excuses. I think there's a lot of things that are explainable. With the Browns, there's just a lot of bad news that nobody wants to hear, and that usually has to do with who's going to be under center. But that coming up here momentarily. I want to get to some of the people. Ron and Medina, you're next up on the Fan. Hello, Ron.
Hey, Ken and Spencer. Hey, no question it's the Guardians right now because they grind like we grind every day. And as it relates to the Dolans, they come under so much criticism. Here's what I know about the Dolans. Go back the last 10 years. The Guardians have one of the top 5 records in baseball. Playoffs 7 of the last 10 years. ALCS 2 years ago. And the fans that criticize them need to look in the mirror because those same fans contribute to us being in the bottom third in the league in attendance. We play meaningful games in September and draw 15,000 people and could not even sell out a playoff game last year. So criticize the Dolans all day long for not doing this and not doing that. When are the fans going to show up and support this team with their wallets, buy tickets? I'm a proud season ticket holder, and I love that team.
Well, Ron, let me say this. Let me tell you this.
Please.
You can turn around on the fans all you want. They can't. I can't. I mean, when we hear about when and this turns into this is what the conversation I hate doing, but I have to have it now. When we talk about them not being supported by the ticket draw or anything, I think they've been more hurt by the TV money, by the TV deal. I think a lot of teams are feeling that right now, Ron, and they've been more hurt by that. When they get that all figured out, I think it makes it a little bit easier. But when you turn it around on fans, it's hard to turn around on fans and blame fans for the misgivings or misguided ways that ownership does things. Now, they've done things the right way, okay? They've been the Steelers of Major League Baseball. They've played well enough to make people care and make people hurt because they haven't gotten over the hump yet. But I can't go turning it around on fans because nobody wants to hear the belly aching of a guy who's listed as a billionaire. I know it's not all his money. I know he's got to ask the family for any of it, and the family don't want to give any of it to him, but he's still listed as a billionaire, and these people aren't.
So let's go get in the top 10 in the league in attendance and put pressure on them to spend money.
You can do that. Go ahead.
The Rockies have been god-awful, and they ranked top 10 in attendance every year. Now, that's a sports town.
So I don't think we're a bad sports town, though, because they don't go to Guardians games.
No, they don't support. Hey, a fan supports their team, especially when they're winning. Our fans don't do that on the baseball side. It's just a fact. I mean, the attendance numbers show that.
But when I look at, I just flatly don't agree. What did you want to say, Spencer? Thank you for the call.
I was trying to decipher. Did he say they had low attendance in they only sold out 15,000 people attended the playoff game last year?
No, he was saying that they didn't sell out. He said that they didn't sell out the playoff game.
Okay, because one of the first things that popped in my head when I heard that was half the time, more than half the time, the Guardians get one of the worst draws in the play. They're always the afternoon game when the AL plays, and so people are working. And if there's a potential run in the Guardians, I think people probably look at it and say, well, I'm not going to take the time off work, and I'm going to save the money for later in the playoffs. I just think, I don't know, because that's always a big complaint too. Every year the playoffs roll around, the Guardians run the schedule, and they get the 1:00 game, and people are mad about it. So it just kind of is what it is. But I think from my time here in Cleveland, both in college and then having lived here shortly after I was in college, I have always felt like fans truly do support the Guardians. It just might not always be able to be by being at the game every night because it gets expensive for a family.
I'd have to look up Denver because I don't know Rockies. I don't know Rockies attendance right off the top of my head. I've always put us against Pittsburgh. In Cleveland, football is usually very high attended. Basketball is usually very well attended. Baseball, not always well attended. Now, some of that stuff is historic. When I look at Pittsburgh, hockey, usually very well attended. Obviously, Steelers games well attended. Baseball, not exactly well attended. It's almost the same thing, different sports, different secondary sports, if you're going to do it like that. Like Pittsburgh's the one I make the comparison to.
The Rockies were 16th in attendance last year.
As much as is that in percentages? Because you got to look at the percentage of the ballpark. Because if you only have a 30,000 seat stadium, that you got to look at percentages there. So I don't think ESPN is going to have the percentages there for you. So I wouldn't call Pittsburgh, as much as we want to make fun of Steelers fans and all that other stuff, I wouldn't call Pittsburgh a bad sports town. I wouldn't call us a bad sports town. Denver is a good sports town. I don't think they're a bad sports town. Anything, if you ask me, anything in a northern part of the country is usually a good sports town. It's where you get to the lower parts of the country where they got other things to do. 216-474-0092. John and Wadsworth, you're next up in the Fan. Hello.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Good morning.
Not terrible. John, go right on ahead.
So, two things. Number one, I think it's definitely the guards, and I think it's because the way we see ourselves as Clevelanders, like kind of like tough and gritty and all that, that's basically guards ball. The way that they play kind of mirrors how we see ourselves as Clevelanders. They've got Jose Ramirez, who basically did what all of us always say we would do. I'm taking the hometown discount. He did that. So we've got that, I think, by far. But I can't listen to that guy before talk about the Dolans and, it's the fans' fault. The Dolans absolutely suck, and I hate that these arguments, the fans need to show. We do show up. And the reason we're frustrated with the Dolans is because it's the same story every year with them. The Guardians aren't just playing teams on the field. They're playing against their ownership. Every year, what happens when we get to the playoffs? Well, it's the Guardians versus so-and-so. And the Guardians are going to struggle because they can't score runs. And, they don't have a guy in, a good power-hitting outfielder or first baseman. Every year. And what happens in the offseason? Nothing. I mean, we go to the playoffs every year, but do they try to improve? No. With this front office, I did some math. This is 2 seasons ago, Ken, real quick. And I know I'm up against it. But
you're fine.
So they were 28th in payroll 2 years ago when they were in the ALCS. If they had increased payroll by 50% for last year's team, they still would have only been 18th. They wouldn't have even been in the top half by increasing payroll 50%. And it was something like $49 million or $50 million extra dollars. Could you imagine what this front office could do with that? And I'm not saying you got to go out and sign, the Juan Sotos and all that, but do something. I mean, their big signing is Reese Hoskins, for Christ's sakes.
For being the favorite team in town, Big Al is pretty fired up about it.
John, thank you very much. That was John. We'll get the Big Al here in a second.
Sorry,
John, thank you very much for the call. Let me say this. I don't want to go down this road more than I have to because we're 4-3 on the season. It's a great start to the season. This has been fantastic. I've been critical of Paul Dolan before. Yeah. I do think he's a good Clevelander. I think that he is committed to the city. I think he's been committed to working with the city to keep the team in the city throughout their 20-plus years of ownership with him and his father. I have been very critical of him because I think that the messaging has been terrible before. I think that some of the stuff, turning it around on the fans, has been bad before. I think the enjoy him comment out of Francisco Lindor, because if Paul Dolan was a dad who lived down the street, I'd have a lot of respect for Paul. They do what they can. They pay their bills. The house is kept up. Everything's great. They're fine folks down there, the Dolans. But because it's a professional sport and it's a fantasy, people don't want to hear about fiscally responsible people. They try to be fiscally responsible in real life. That's what separates. That's honestly what separates Dan Gilbert and Jimmy Haslam from them. Is that Dan Gilbert spends a lot of crazy money on a lot of things. He's gotten a return on his investment. People are starting to get a little bit upset, but he's got a return on his investment. Jimmy Haslam has paid $16 million for a second-round pick before. He's paid $230 million for a quarterback before. He doesn't really care about money. He doesn't care. And there is something that does excite people about that they're willing to pay that type of money. When it comes to the Dolans, the one thing I'll always say is when it's always listed that they have $5 billion or $4.7 billion or how many $1 billion, I will always say, It's in a trust. From what I've heard, he's wanted to tap into it before. You gotta get permission from the family.
Yeah, I've heard some of that too.
You got family members close. You got siblings there that might not want to participate in this. He
doesn't always get the final sign. It's like multiple people.
There have been things that you hear about that, but that tends to bog everything down. And so when it turns into a conversation,
it only just becomes an excuse for the fans. Like they don't like that.
Like again, when we talk into love, you love all three of your teams. There will be a time, because baseball is ebbs and flows, where you won't like the Guardians the most. But right now, people like the Guardians the most. 216-474-0092. I wanted to tell you guys about this. I think I've caught a lot of people warning each other. That I told you this months ago. Even I. But I told you I got that text after they hired Todd Monken that he really likes Watson. Adam Schefter goes on Pat McAfee's show, ESPN, has this to say: people freak out.
I think that's been one of the least talked about biggest stories going into the season. Mm-hmm. The fact that Deshaun Watson could wind up being the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. I think that's absolutely on the table. I think that it feels like it's moving towards that right now. Now, Todd Monken comes in, and who knows exactly what he's going to do, but they're going to take a look at everybody. Todd Monken said at breakfast this morning that he hasn't decided, at least publicly, how the quarterback rotation will work out in OTAs. He's going to lean on people who've had experience there. Shador's had some experience. Dylan Gabriel not being there, like that, there's a message there. The fact that he's not there, I think.
That's Adam Schefter, courtesy of ESPN. I think it bothers a lot of people that I think there's some people who've been living online and been getting in arguments with Shador fans online, and that's just not the real world. I think there's a lot of people who live in real world as Browns fans, and they don't think very highly of Deshaun Watson. They don't think very highly of his play on the field. They don't have any trust in him whatsoever, and they're ready to move on from him.
Yeah.
And trying to rattle out and wring out anything they possibly can to them is a waste of time. I have to admit, I don't want to see him either. Had Shador played a little bit better, had Shador made a little bit better decisions during those games that he won, and there was games he played well in, maybe he'd have a bigger leg up on things. But when you go into this and you, again, have a 60-year-old first-time head coach, he's probably going to go with the guy who has more experience, or he's more apt to go with the guy who has more experience. And then when you see all this stuff, it's just coming up bad news. Like, you see Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy was a malcontent last year. Who was his quarterbacks last year? Shador Sanders had a big bulk of the season with him. And then you see the online stuff. Well, he's working out with Deshaun Watson. Yeah. It's going to bother some people, but this is what it is. They're going to go with the guy who shows them the most talent. If it ends up being the guy who used to be an All-Pro, even though that was 6 years ago, I don't know if this season is heading anywhere but to the 2027 draft, but that's what they're going to go with, Spencer.
They have kept it very vague. I think Monken didn't really clarify much of anything, but for me, there was a little bit of a sense that maybe he leaned Shador, but at the same time, I don't like he can't think about, Ken, what you and I think or others think. Like I believe starting Deshaun Watson's a waste of time. I have nothing left to learn, see, understand, or know about Deshaun Watson from a football standpoint. Shador Sanders, there's actually something there where it's like, hey, we can learn about him and if he can be a quarterback for this team. But I'll say this, like, I don't know how to take him saying, yeah, I kind of felt like him saying he hadn't watched the tape on Deshaun also sort of felt like, he kind of knows what he's getting with Deshaun. But how could he possibly know what he's getting with Deshaun at this point? It's been 6 years since he was that quarterback, 2 Achilles tears, a shoulder surgery, the suspension, 2 years basically out of football, and he's been out of football for really hasn't played a whole season in the last 6 years as a whole. It's like, so to me, if he's really basing it off of recent tape and what happened at the end of last year, I get it. And that sort of makes me think Shador Sanders. But you're right. He's got to win football games. And if they go out there and he looks like the best quarterback, how would he? Of course he could start Deshaun.
5 minutes away. It was the right thing. It was just the wrong messenger. And family fun for everybody last night. It's about last night in 5 minutes on the Fan. Hey.
can happen around the globe that we never hear of.
Embarrassing. We got to be better on defense.
It won't matter till April. I think we know that. Y'all gonna write us off. We could go 82-0, no one would care.
He's a piece of crap. The kid, he sucks. He's sucked his whole career.
I got rumors about him. How he couldn't please his wife, so now he's divorced.
Put a damn winning team on the field.
Now the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima give their thoughts on what you might have missed about last night.
Jared Allen's injury might be a little bit more dangerous than we thought. Chris Fedor's article in Cleveland.com talked about how Jared Allen really hasn't been playing at 100% since missing 9 games and coming back from the injury. Can Jared Allen get through 4 rounds of the playoffs without winning a game, without missing a game?
Probably not.
Well, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. I'd like to rest him now. Jared is a guy who's known to be too honest. Is anybody 100% now? Let me do glass half full. Is anybody 100%? Is Donovan's groin 100%?
Definitely not.
Okay, well, maybe Jared's just telling you the truth. You know what? Yes, he will get through it. Cavs Conversation brought to you by the fine folks at Surfside. Their hard iced tea, who asked you to please enjoy the Surfside hard iced tea responsibly. 7:45 and 6 seconds for those scoring at home.
When have the Cavs ever made it through a postseason with everybody fully healthy? You think Jared, who's already going in with an injury?
Honestly, when has anybody ever made it through a postseason fully healthy? Even the Warriors, when they beat us in 2015, were like, well, we got guys hurt too. Okay, whatever. Go ahead, John.
Sean McVay, he went on Up and Adams to talk about the Browns' 5 picks rule, and he was vehemently against it. But this is what his GM said on the same podcast.
I don't necessarily know why the competition committee was so strong against it. Here's what I can say. I don't think in our ecosystem that a team – there's too many checks and balances to say, you know what, we're just going to trade 5 first-round draft picks. So it would be interesting if it would have gotten to the floor, would have been able to get discussed and hear all the viewpoints on that.
What's your viewpoint? Would you back it?
You know what, I probably would. I would have said yes, but I would have liked to have heard kind of the reasons for or against, and at the end of the day, and just get it discussed, because we're pretty traditional league. So to put something on the table probably that radical and get it voted on and let's call it pass, that was going to be tough. But it's in the ecosystem now. It's in the metaverse now. We're going to discuss it.
We are doing a real big up and audio courtesy of Kay Adams. That's Les Snead, the general manager of the Los Angeles Rams. Boy, we're doing a lot of 6 degrees at Kevin Bacon with the Rams. They used to be in Cleveland. Did you know that, John?
I did know that.
Okay, I wanted to make sure you knew that or not. By the way, John has a shocking admission later in this show about Cleveland sports fans because he comes from Philadelphia, or Cleveland radio show hosts because he comes from Philadelphia, that Cleveland sports fans are going to want to hear. It's incredible. We have this weird connection right now where Todd Monken misses the photo, and everybody, so Browns. Well, Sean McVay missed the photo, but it's the Rams, and the Rams are good, so the Browns get made fun of.
Did you ever find out why Sean McVay missed it?
I don't know.
Is he getting a haircut
nobody asks. Nobody. Which, by the way, Coach Lance is like, he's a football guy. He didn't want to be in the video, or he didn't want to be in the
picture. He was
picture.
just getting a haircut for the picture.
Yeah, and the video went out there. Spencer, you were in Arizona.
Yeah,
and you were. There were I cannot tell you the media members that came out of the woodwork going, is he serious about this? I'm like, what? He was really getting he's really getting his haircut. Okay, all right. Text Coach Lance just saying he's another football guy. I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea. I had 10 people texting me and go, okay, I don't think that he was saying that Todd Monken was just being a jerk about it. He just said he was a football guy.
He was asked in that promotional video when he got here what his favorite restaurant was in town. He said he didn't have time to go to restaurants. So there's to back Lance a little bit. He did make it sound like he's purely a football guy.
That's a football man right there. But going back to what Les Snead had just said, it was the right message. It was the wrong messenger.
Yeah.
Les Snead is excited about that proposition, and he knows that if the Rams had done this, there would have been more of a serious discussion. However, he's 100% right. It's the most buttoned-up conservative league of all professional sports leagues. No, they are not going to like such radical change at the beginning. If you were to bring this back, what changes would you make, Spencer?
Like that rule?
Because I have an idea about how I would change the rule a little bit, but go ahead.
I'm interested to see what you say because I don't know that I would change it all that much. I thought it made sense. I really liked that Andrew Berry. The take you had, right message, wrong messenger. 100% what I have been saying for weeks on this topic, because I get it. The team that traded 3 firsts for Deshaun Watson really isn't the right mouthpiece for this.
It almost felt like a lot of people wanted to save the Browns from themselves with the possibility. It's like, I don't think that's it, but either way.
100%. I think this is a good thing, and I like that Les Snead kind of alluded to. We're going to talk about it. It's in the ether now, so we'll come back to it at some point. The one pushback I did here that actually I think makes some sense, and this is maybe the thing they have to debate is, do you really want a GM with how quickly these jobs change, trading a draft pick 5 years out that he probably won't even be there to see?
Yeah.
And that's the one thing I get. But this was never about, can the Browns find a way to outdo themselves and trade 5 firsts for whoever? It was always just about having more flexibility like we see in other leagues anyway. So I think I liked it.
Because I saw it as a way to...
What would you change, you said?
I saw it as a way... Well, this is what I'd change it. I would pull back. You can't trade 3 consecutive first-round picks. You can only trade 2.
2?
Because
I was actually thinking that might be where you go with that.
I think that this is a way for them... You remember Elliott Wolf saying, like, oh, gosh, and it made a lot of people think, like, okay, if they were asking for Myles Garrett, they want more than 2 first-round picks, and rightfully so. That's my conversation would start at 3 first-round picks, or don't bother calling. If you're going to call me about Myles Garrett, and people don't want to do that for a non-quarterback, that I understand. So I would say, okay, you don't want to give up 3 first-round picks. How about not 3 first-round picks consecutively? So your fan base stays engaged to some level, because without 3 first-round picks over that many years and Deshaun Watson sucking up the room, that was an awful experience for Browns fans. The only savior was going to the playoffs with Joe Flacco. If you were to take away, hey, you can go 5 years into the future, you just can't give away consecutive first-round picks after 2 years. Then I think that was a way to kind of open up the market going, you might not be comfortable giving up 3 in a row, but are you willing to give up 3 in non-consecutive years? I think that makes it a little bit more palatable. That's where I think Andrew Berry might have been going with this, to add some flexibility for the future. And I think if the Rams were to bring this to the table, it would be more considered.
For sure. I felt like the Browns went into this knowing it probably wouldn't pass, but they wanted to get that conversation started. Mm-hmm. And so, like you said, maybe now there's adjustments that can be made where they can throw different amendments to it, where it's like, hey, we can't trade more than 2 in a row, and sort of save yourself from yourself, essentially.
It's like the tush-push type of thing. You don't want to take a play out, because then that starts to, like, okay, if we start taking out actual plays,
it's like a slippery slope.
Where does it stop? But when you have the overhead camera now able to put in rules, the conversation goes where now it opens up another conversation going, okay, we can do the overhead camera, the eye in the sky thing, and now we can figure out if guys are jumping off sides on the offensive line, and maybe we could put a stop to it and make guys think about it, or make it a little bit easier to defend as a defensive line. Like, that's how these conversations go.
We had a rocket launch in America yesterday, and here is exactly why you should be excited about it.
Why do you want to be here? Why do you love space? Why do you love being a part of history?
We're going back to the frickin' moon, that's why.
Did you guys watch the Artemis yesterday?
Hell yeah, I did. I got home. Who was that? Where did you get that audio, by the way?
Audio courtesy of CNN.
CNN, the cable news network, home of Ted Turner. Is Ted Turner still with us? Hold on. Ted Turner
yes, but is he still with CNN?
Is alive. All right.
There we go.
Cincinnati, Ohio, 87 years young. I got home. The whole family was watching it. I felt like we were on, like the families in Apollo 13.
A couple years ago. Everyone was talking about the eclipse.
Yes.
We love space.
It was a blast.
It was cool. I didn't watch it live. I missed it, but I went back and watched all the clips, the videos. I saw the video of that kid. I got a reason why Browns fans should be excited about this.
Why is that?
The last time we sent a rocket to the moon.
Okay.
The Browns were 10-4, made the playoffs, lost in the divisional round.
What year was that?
1972.
1972?
I looked it up last night.
We haven't sent anybody to the moon since 72?
No, correct.
Well, they're just going around the moon, right? They're not actually landing?
They're not landing this time, but Artemis 3, they'll land
maybe
on the moon.
not.
Artemis 3 is going to the moon?
Yeah, 2028, they're gonna try to build like a long-term space station on the moon.
I don't like the way the rocket looks. I like the big plane that's sitting on the side.
We're going to be doing radio from the moon in like
That's
10
a
years?
shuttle, not a rocket.
Oh, is that the difference?
Correct.
You were in the Air Force. I wouldn't know. Let me acquiesce to you. Do you know? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I had to do a lot of history stuff on it. Wasn't that fun?
I tell you what, I had a blast watching it yesterday. I'll tell you that. No pun intended.
Watching Rockets is a blast, guys. It's like the fourth time you said it.
I didn't mean to do it like that. Mary Kay Cabot coming up at 8:20. It's always a blast when she joins us. Has the leader of the Browns QB changed without anybody taking a snap? We'll ask Mary Kay about that at 8:20. And he ain't a liar. He's just not telling you the whole truth. Ken Carman, Spencer German in for Tone on the Fan. Folks, Ken Carman here for Extend Technologies and of Tone.
Headline Sports News continues every 20 minutes on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital's Sports Desk, I'm Mackenzie Flume.
Catch Afternoon Drive with Nick Wilson and Jonathan Peterlin live on YouTube each and every weekday from 2 to 7 p.m.
Oh, where are you going? No. Have a seat. You are sitting with an Air Force veteran, 12 years, ladies and gentlemen.
Joey, turn those cameras on.
So, you're telling me what I sat with my children with. It was like it was, I'm telling you, it was like it was 1969 all over again there in Streetsboro,
It didn't
Ohio.
happen.
You don't believe that a rocket got launched yesterday?
No.
What would it take for you to have believed it happened?
Remember it was a couple months ago when all those celebrities went into space and then dropped back?
You didn't believe that?
No, there were videos of like somebody peeking in and being like, "Stay for a second." Like, it's all staged. You can't convince me otherwise.
So
you think
all those people watching that rocket yesterday in real life, that's staged?
I mean, people were there, but maybe, I don't know what was happening. I don't think it actually went into space. It probably,
There weren't people aboard it?
There were probably people in there for effect.
You believe all space exploration is not real? Do you believe there's a flag on the moon? An American flag on the moon?
No way.
Where
no
did
way.
it go? Mackenzie, are you a flat earther?
Oh, no.
Oh
no.
I don't know about that.
You better be careful.
He opened the can of
You are
worms.
opening up all of it. Wait, was that John or you?
That was John.
John!
He opened the can of worms.
John, just stick to the phones. I'm afraid you're going to ask her a question that's going to be in the meetings. John's going to get his
John
chance
likes
here
to
in a
push
bit.
the buttons. Push the envelope.
You don't believe that there was the moon landing?
Not the first one for sure, no. And this
You
one
know,
is...
Neil Armstrong not Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin has punched people in the face over questioning him about the moon landing.
Bring him in.
You want to get punched in the face?
Yeah. Looking for a new nose, actually.
She invites the punch.
Mackenzie.
Yes.
Mackenzie.
Were you here for the eclipse?
Yeah. That was cool.
So
Did you believe in the eclipse?
You believe
that
that?
was
'cause it
natural.
happened?
That was
'Cause it happened?
natural. Right.
Space travel is
So
kind
where
of
do you
natural.
think the rocket went, though,
Just
Mackenzie?
went up in the sky and then came back down somewhere.
Okay, but where did the people go?
Back down.
So the the cameras that we didn't see. Oh, and stop. The cameras that we didn't see.
Here's
That's
the
not as
rocket.
real.
You know what's
Here's
crazy?
the steeple. Open
is that
it up
I
and
know
see all
that
the
more people are going to agree with me than you guys think. More people are going to agree with me than you guys think.
Yeah, there's a lot of nut jobs out there,
Okay,
Mackenzie.
got it. I don't think I'm a nut job. I think I'm
So
smart.
Where did they film the fake moon landing?
Probably a studio somewhere.
Live from a TV studio.
All right. Do you believe that the Browns will win someday?
No.
Okay. Well, at least she's
What do you think happened to JFK?
She just told you she doesn't believe in fairy tales, Ken.
Yes.
That's a fairy tale.
Don't ask her thoughts on JFK. You know what?
I didn't know if anybody caught that one.
You want to roll that dice, Owen?
Not particularly.
Okay, then we won't roll that dice. You had to save me from myself because now I kind of want to know her thoughts on JFK.
Do you think
Apparently have
Elvis is
thoughts.
frozen somewhere?
But I do want
She's
to do
still alive?
this.
Rank
Power
your
rank
conspiracies?
those conspiracy theories. Mackenzie Flume, you are up.
Biggest conspiracy theory?
No.
Yeah, you get
Power
three of them.
rank 'em.
Let's
You got
go.
three of
Power
them.
rank them.
Oh gosh, this is hard. Okay.
These are the thoughts of Mackenzie Flume
well,
and no one
I
else on
feel
this
like
show.
I can't. I feel like I'm gonna get canceled if I do this.
I don't think she should do it then.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't want Mackenzie to get anybody in
I mean,
trouble.
I mean, the first one has to do with 9/11, so I feel like we have to stop. We have to stop.
And that. Mackenzie.
We flew way too close to the sun. Literally
Coming in hot is at
figuratively.
Mackenzie
9:40.
doesn't believe we flew way too close to the sun, so we're
We're
fine.
moving on.
Further away,
We're
actually.
moving on.
All right, see ya.
Mackenzie the Body Ventura. It doesn't melt the steel beams, guys.
Mackenzie! Oh! No! No!
Oh. She's
So anyway, did you hear what Todd Monken said about watching tape and not watching tape?
Mackenzie was at the Gulf of Tonkin with me.
Was he too busy watching the rocket launch to watch Deshaun's tape?
Do you believe Todd Monken hasn't watched any tape on Deshaun Watson or Shedeur Sanders yet? But he's watched a ton on Jackson Dart.
All right, moving on. 216. Nah, I'm not even throwing it out. Let's get someone else here. How about Todd Monken yesterday about quarterbacks? Here is Todd Monken. This is about about the film he has and hasn't seen. And here is Todd Monken 2 days ago. 2 days ago or yesterday? 2 days ago. On the film he has and hasn't seen on his quarterbacks.
We have crossover tape. Have I seen Deshaun Watson play before? Of course. I saw him play against us when I was in Baltimore. Did we play the Cowboys 2 years ago after Cleveland opened up the season with Dallas? Yes. Is that a great film to watch Deshaun Watson on? Absolutely not. That was not a fun tape to watch. To try and look at that film and say, that's Deshaun Watson's unfair. I think you won a little bit because I don't know the system they changed to. I'm making a point here. When Ken Dorsey came in and what they were running, I don't know that. I don't know what they were asking him to do. Or the year before when the Browns came over and beat the Ravens there. I don't know that. I just know what I've seen over the years. I've seen a really good football player. And we're hoping to be able to tap into that. I know he's excited, and we're excited to work with him, like we are with Dylan, like we are with Shedeur.
So it's not that I don't believe him, what he's saying. It's that, when this gets put with the Jackson Dart stuff, right?
Yeah.
When this gets put with him. He was excited to see Jackson Dart, right? He talks about this tape. It's that I look at a guy who he was organized. I keep going back to 2019. He was organized in 2019. His head coach wasn't. He was upset. There is no doubt in my mind when he says, oh, you know what? This isn't good. This is a good tape to watch. This isn't great to see. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind he has watched that, and he has watched it recently, that game against the Cowboys. Because you're trying to see what this guy can do. You are stuck with him no matter what. And so now you have to discover whether or not you think that this guy has any talent left in him. So now you have to see maybe what was Kevin doing wrong or maybe what was he doing wrong. One of the two things, and both are possible, by the way. Kevin might have been handling them wrong. We'll find out. That is part of the reason why some people are really curious about seeing Todd Monken with Deshaun Watson. They want to know whether this was a Kevin thing or not.
It's why Jimmy hasn't called it a fresh start, right?
Exactly right. Exactly right. So they want to know whether it was a Kevin thing or not. And I don't blame you. If I'm curious about anything when it comes to Deshaun Watson, that I am curious about, I have to admit. So you bring him along and you put this together. There is no doubt in my mind that he's watched the Cowboys tape, watched it many times, and watched it recently because of everything that he just said. It's tape that you want to flush. It's tape that you have to see because you are seeing a guy at his worst. And you are seeing a guy who at one point was a top 5 quarterback in this league at his very worst look lost in that game. Why? Why did it reach that level? When you had, this was 2024, I know the offense wasn't very good. You've had a little bit of talent around you. Why didn't it go your way? I have to know. I have to know. And Todd Monken has to do that.
Yeah.
I cannot blame this man for this.
No, I understand going back and watching to sort of get a sense of those things and seeing how he can maybe utilize him. I also think, though, I don't really know how he could possibly know how exactly to build an offense around Deshaun right now, other than based off of what a old version of Deshaun that might not even exist anymore. Because that's the thing he keeps going back to, right? Is at one point he was a top 5 quarterback. We believe somewhere that could still be in there. We're going to try to find that. Great. Uh-huh. But that was also, 2024 was even a long time ago. That was basically, that Cowboys game was 2 full seasons ago. You have a guy who ruptured his Achilles twice. One of the calling cards of Deshaun's game that actually, in theory, would play into Todd Monken's offense with what he did with Lamar Jackson is the athleticism piece. Is that even still there? So that's where, I understand going back and watching the old tape to get a sense of what were they doing right and wrong with Deshaun Watson at that time. But as we think about 2026 and how they're going to frame this thing, who's going to start ahead, to just base it solely off of, well, we think Deshaun's still the more talented player. Fine, but do we even know that? Do we have any semblance that you're even going to get the guy from 2024?
No.
Anymore? Like, it's such a mystery with him. I have a hard time believing that he should just blindly start as the number one quarterback because of what we used to know about Deshaun Watson.
There's a lot of questions I've had to ask myself here over these last few months because when you bring in Todd Monken, there is, again, I've said it over and over, 60 years old, first, maybe only time head coach, all that stuff. That being pointed out, let me ask you this. And this is just a question I have to ask everybody. Let me go around the room. Could it actually be, oh gosh, I'm going to get just lambasted for this. Could it be better for Shedeur if Deshaun Watson starts the season? Just hear me out on this. Hold on. I think that he's going to pick Deshaun as the starter. Okay? I think he's going to do it. So let me just ask you real quick. A guy starts off the year. He's not a popular figure. Not a lot of people are going to. They're going to be curious. They're going to have a bit of a morbid curiosity to see. But you get a guy who says, "Okay, you got thrust into the system last year. It was tough. Now you get put into here. Maybe you need to take a step back and just see. If it goes well with Deshaun, you continue to do well with Deshaun. But if Deshaun ends up struggling, maybe it's better because everybody likes the backup. Maybe it changes a little bit."
I see what
Let me
you're
just
saying.
say real quick. Yes, is it possible?
I don't think it's better because I think you would rather have even the staunchest of like Shedeur, anti-Shedeur people should want to learn what this guy has starting from week one and get as many games as possible with him. But I understand what you're saying where it's like everybody likes the backup quarterback best, and if Deshaun struggles, you can really put that thing to bed.
Yes.
I just think to me it's already been put to bed.
John, 5 seconds, yes or no?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, in 5 seconds, yes or no?
Well, you asked if it was better. And
Could it be?
No, the only way for Shedeur to truly shut his haters up is to come out, win a quarterback competition, be the starter on week one, be the guy that goes out and wins games for the Browns, not the guy that was the afterthought, not the guy that was the guy that, well, you got handed something halfway through the season.
It's not a theory. It's a question. And it's one I have to ask Mary Kay when she joins us in 5 minutes on The Fan. Window Nation.
expected to miss the trip. Listen to the Fan Rewind weeknights 11 p.m. to midnight. All of the best segments from all of our shows, and you can always listen on the Odyssey app. Headline Sports News continues every 20 minutes on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital's Sports Desk, I'm Mackenzie Flume.
Oh, I opened up a can of worms right before break. Mary Kay Cabot joining us here in moments. We have a team for the Fan Mock Draft at 9 a.m. You could be going to the Fan Mock Draft coming up on April 16th at Game On in North Olmsted. It's a fabulous time. You get a team. You can do whatever. You can trade. It's a lot of fun. You get a free buffet. It's awesome. All I did was ask the question. That's all I did. I got to think of, I got a lot of time before next season. We spent a lot of time with the Guardians today. We're going to get back to the Guardians, and it happened in the conversation. I'm hearing Todd Monken talking about the Cowboy game and how, you really don't want to watch that video or any of that. Someone's like, yeah, you did. I know you did. There's no way it's that fresh in your memory. I know you did, and I just have to ask. It's trending towards Deshaun, it feels like. And so I kind of had to ask, could it? Don't come after me. I'm just asking a question. Could it be better if Deshaun did start the season for Shedeur? Maybe I shouldn't have said that because I'm getting hammered for even asking the question.
Good. I'm glad you are.
Mary Kay Cabot joins us right now on the Make It Right Call Kyle Right hotline. Hello, Mary Kay.
Hello, guys. How you doing?
Morning, Mary Kay.
Am I crazy for even asking the question, Mary Kay?
No, you're not crazy for asking the question, but it's certainly not going to be better for Shedeur if Deshaun goes out there and starts the season and plays well. So there's no way that would be better for Shedeur. And that could happen. Every report that I've heard, everything that I've seen so far, Deshaun looks pretty good. He looked pretty good in December, and they're very excited about him, and they think that he is going to be better under Todd Monken. So, no, I don't think it would be better for Shedeur if Deshaun started the season and played well.
We have Spencer German in for Anthony Lima this morning. Spencer, go right on ahead.
Mary Kay, off of that, how did you leave the owners' meetings sort of deciphering between Todd Monken's comments on the quarterback situation and how he's going to sort of set the depth chart initially, the comments made by Jimmy and Dee Haslam about a fresh start, even Andrew Berry's comments on the matter? How did you sort of decipher between those, and where do you sort of stand on what this thing could look like when they open up on-field work here in the spring?
Well, we are all trying to read the tea leaves on the situation, and here's the truth of the matter. The truth is they don't really know exactly what they have yet in Shedeur Sanders and Deshaun Watson. They don't know exactly how healthy Deshaun is going to be, what the arm strength is going to look like, what the agility is going to look like coming off 2 Achilles surgeries. And in Shedeur, they can't say yet exactly how well he's going to assimilate this whole entirely new offense, what it's going to look like when he puts it out on the grass. So I think it's going to be a true competition, even though Todd Monken sort of hinted or indicated that perhaps first man up, if they had to choose somebody to walk up to that line first and throw the first pass in the first practice. Right now, in this moment, I thought he hinted that would be Shedeur based on the fact that he started the last 7 games of the season, and they believe that that's just the order of operations. But I don't necessarily think that means that Deshaun wouldn't have a great opportunity then to beat him out for the job. I think it's going to be a true competition. I think they want both guys and Dylan Gabriel to a certain extent, at least right now, to bring out the best in each other. And that's what competition does. If you keep the heat under all of them, then you are going to get guys working their tails off, and that is what they want. When you have natural, organic competition, that's exactly what you want. And when coaches don't have it, they try to create it. So that's what you're hearing right now. You're hearing them set up a competition that should be fierce and should have everybody on their toes.
Mary Kay Cabot joining us on the Make It Right Call Kyle Right hotline. She's from the Cleveland Plain Dealer and Cleveland.com. Does it mean anything that Jerry Jeudy was working out with Deshaun Watson?
Well, I do think it is kind of significant. I tried to find out yesterday if he's also worked out with Shedeur. I don't know if he has or not. And I'm sure we'll know more about that. But I do think it's significant that he is working out with Deshaun. And sometimes it's just a logistical thing because Jerry Jeudy is from Florida, and that's where Deshaun has been. So sometimes it's just a matter of, hey, we're both in Florida.
Okay.
Let's get together and get things going. So I don't know how significant it is, but I do think it's noteworthy, and that's why I wrote about it yesterday, because they really are trying to get Jerry Jeudy back on track this year. They 100% believe that is going to happen. And for him to be getting his timing and chemistry down with Deshaun Watson, I think there is, something to be noted about that.
Mary Kay, big deal or little deal that Dillon Gabriel of the three quarterbacks is maybe the one that hasn't necessarily shown his face in the facility yet?
Well, I don't think it's a huge deal. Once again, I think it's a note. I don't think it's a huge deal because you're not really expected to be in the building in the off season. Now, Deshaun stopped in, but sometimes Deshaun has to do that for medical reasons, right? I mean, he is coming off of 2 Achilles surgeries, and then before that, the shoulder surgery. So sometimes you meet with the medical staff and go over a plan or whatever. So I'm not exactly sure why he came in, or maybe he did come in specifically to meet the new coach. And if he did that, good for him. That's exactly what you would want to do in a situation like this. As far as Dillon not doing that, not exactly sure where he is this offseason or what his thinking was behind it. And again, I don't think it's a huge deal. They don't have any reason to have to be in the building unless they have medicals in the offseason. So we'll see how that goes. Everybody has a chance. That's one thing that came out of the meetings too, is that they keep saying, stop, everybody, would you please stop writing off Dillon Gabriel? We haven't written him off yet. Yeah. So that was one of the things that they emphasized, that he is still on this roster with a chance to compete also for the starting job, because anybody who is on the roster has a chance to compete for a starting job at their position. So Dillon is not out of the mix by any stretch yet, even though I don't necessarily believe he's in the top 2 right now. But he still has a chance, and anything can happen in these kinds of situations.
Mary Kay Cabot joining us on the show. Yeah, I'm sorry, Mary Kay. Like, there is an optics thing to it. Like, we made a big deal when Deshaun was in Miami during the season while he was injured, for crying out loud. So there is an optics thing to it. And there's also, let me ask you this. Was Kevin the driving force behind drafting Dillon Gabriel?
I don't know that to be true, and I don't really think that to be true. I think they really saw something in Dillon. I think they saw a quarterback they thought that they could find in, the 3rd round, who is going to come in here and surprise a lot of people. And I don't think that they have completely ruled that out yet, whether it happens here or somewhere else. I think they still believe that he has plenty of merit and can develop into a good quarterback.
Mary Kay Cabot, Cleveland.com, joining us on the Make It Right, Call Right hotline. We heard from Andrew Berry, obviously, Mary Kay, and on the quarterback subject, he mentioned if they do add one, that it would likely skew younger. Do you believe at this point that they will be adding another quarterback to this room sometime in the next couple weeks before they open up OTAs and everything?
I do think that they will add another young quarterback. It just seems like they're really interested in doing that. And this is a football team that usually goes into training camp with 4 quarterbacks. It always does. So I do think that they will add another quarterback. What that means for anybody, it depends on the caliber of that quarterback. If that quarterback happens to be Ty Simpson, well, then that changes the game. If it happens to be maybe a Taylon Green or someone like that who's more of a developmental quarterback, then it means something different entirely. So I do think there will be another young quarterback, a developmental guy on this football team, and the impact of that won't be known until we know who it is.
What do you think they're going to do at number 6?
I think they're going to try probably to trade down from number 6 if they can, unless, and I've written this, the only way they don't trade down from number 6 is if they determine over the next 3 weeks that Ty Simpson is someone who is worth taking there and that they have a chance on him. So they'll see how that board falls and how it starts to go. And if they have gotten to that point where they believe that he's worth that pick for them, then I think they would stay there. If they don't decide that he is, if they decide he's not that guy for them, then I think that they will continue to try to trade down. It's just that trading down is not going to be easy this year. There are not probably all that many players that teams would want to come up for and grab at number 6.
Who would you want if you absolutely had to make a pick at number 6? Who would you want, Mary Kay?
Well, I'm just going to follow through with what I told a few people at these meetings, and you guys are going to think I'm probably crazy. But I've watched film now, and I've thought through it, and I think I would actually take a chance on Ty Simpson at number 6. I think I would do that because I've seen enough over the years where if you're not 100% sure about a player at another position, then why not take a chance on a quarterback? I said that in 22 about Malik Willis. Take a chance on Malik Willis and see what you can develop him into. And that's how I feel about the quarterbacks in round 1, because they don't cost all that much money. And if you happen to hit on one, then you can have a quarterback on a rookie contract that might turn into something for you. So I like to take that swing at the plate at a quarterback in the first round if it's there. Now, it's a tough call. It is definitely a tough call on him because there are plenty of question marks. But there are plenty of question marks about a lot of other guys that you might take there too. So I know I'll probably get a lot of blowback or pushback on that, but I don't care about that. I've said that about other quarterbacks over the years that I think they should have taken, and sometimes it turns out that it would not have been the worst decision in the world.
At number 6?
And wait a minute.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, before we get off this call, we have to address the haircut. We have to address the haircut.
Oh, I was going to ask. Well, wait,
Okay.
Mary Kay, hold on. You can't say you take Ty Simpson at number 6 and then go, by the way, we got to talk about the haircut. I know what you did to me. Okay, Lima's been doing it to me for years. I can't just look over there. I got Mary Kay, Ty Simpson. Ty Simpson.
Yeah.
No,
I mean, I'm not sure.
No.
I'm not sure what he's going to be. But if you like him well enough to take him at 24, then you probably would have to grab him at number 6 because there's a good chance he's not going to make it to 24. So if you think he's a guy that you can bring in and develop and see what he turns into, and I guess everybody would say, well, that would mean the end of Shedeur. I don't think that necessarily does mean the end of Shedeur. I don't think that. I know people would disagree with me on that, but I think that Ty is going to need some time because he has only started 15 games. But I like a lot of what I've seen in those 15 games from a decision-making standpoint, from an arm standpoint, from an agility standpoint. So I probably would take him there. Who would you take?
Not Ty Simpson. Do you know something? Is that why you're saying Ty Simpson? Do you know something?
No, I don't know something. But here's the other thing. You guys hold my feet to the fire, and that's fine. This is, you have to do that. You hold my feet to the fire on this show, and then everybody's going to hold me to that. I could change my mind about that in 2 weeks. I'm still in my process. So nobody's holding my feet to the fire on this. I could change my mind on this, so you have to let me do that. But when I came away from the meetings thinking, I don't know that there's any other player, if I stay at 6 right now at this moment in time, that I would want to take a chance on more than I would want to take a chance on the premium, the most important position in all of sports. I don't know if there's another player that I would do that with.
Mary Kay, I know you shared that same stance with us out there in Arizona as well. So that's how you feel, but what do you understand, or how would you maybe describe what you know about the Browns' interest in Ty Simpson? Like, would they maybe have the appetite to pull the trigger at 6?
I doubt it. I highly doubt it. I don't know something, and I'm not saying that because I think that is what they are going to do. I think they ultimately will not do that. I don't think they will do that. But for purposes of this question, you guys asked what I would do, and that is what I would do at this point. Again, there's more film to be watched. There's more discussions to be had. But I guess my feeling on it is, and back in the day, I mean, here's another one. Back in the day, I wrote a column saying the Browns should take Geno Smith in the first round that year, and they took Barkevious Mingo. Would you rather have tried to see if you could get something out of Geno Smith, a quarterback, or would you rather see what you can get out of Barkevius Mingo. So when you're that high up in the draft, the unfortunate thing for the Browns is that the 2 years in a row when they've had these really high picks, there hasn't been that sure thing quarterback that they can go out and take. And so that's been tough. But the position is so important that I'd rather take a chance. I think the hit rate is like 50% in the first round. So if it's 50%, I'm taking I'm putting my money on a quarterback.
All right, Todd Monken was getting a haircut.
There's two things that I wanted to address. I hear you guys. I hear you guys talking about we don't believe that he didn't watch the Dallas film, and we don't believe. And
he watched that Dallas film, Mary Kay. Come on, he watched that Dallas film.
No, he did not watch that Dallas film. He did not. And here's the thing that you guys have to remember about Todd Monken. Todd Monken is unabashedly himself. He's not going to sit up there and not be truthful about things. I mean, think about the introductory press conference and when I asked him about Jim Schwartz, and he just kind of went off about, I'm not trying to block Jim Schwartz. I mean, he's somebody that he talks off the cuff, and he's not going to make things up. So, number one, he did not make up the haircut story. And that was a story that he initially told to some of us at the party the night before the breakfast. So, and we were just shooting the breeze, and he told that story. And so then I asked him the next morning, hey, do you mind if I tell the haircut story? He was like, no, go ahead. And, it was a funny story. That is a funny story and a funny memory. So there's no way he made that up. That actually happened, and there were other parties involved. So that happened. And then the Dallas film, do you think right now when he's trying to assemble a staff, I mean, he's got an avalanche coming down upon him right now. He doesn't have time to sit down and watch Dallas film of Deshaun Watson right at the moment. I mean, he was trying to assemble a staff, get ready for free agency, get ready for the draft. There might be a point in time where he does that, but as of right now, he hasn't revisited that. He has it fresh in his mind from when they played him.
If he accepted this job and he did it without looking at the Dallas film, then I hope he never looks at the Dallas film because he will be very nervous about the job he's accepted, Mary Kay, if that's the case. Now you've made me more nervous about Todd Monken. I know you weren't trying to, but here I am.
No, but wait a minute. Wait. If you read the quote, or if you guys saw that part of the quote,
played
it. He's already familiar with that film from the crossover tape that they have watched.
Right.
So he saw plenty of Deshaun Watson playing against Dallas, and he feels it's not fair to watch that kind of tape and judge Deshaun Watson on what was going on here. He didn't seem to think very much of some of what was going on here when Deshaun Watson was trying to operate these offenses and these schemes and do whatever they were trying to do with him. And I think the Browns firmly believe that Deshaun Watson will fare much better when he's in the hands of a coach who is adept at really working with a dual threat quarterback like that, who's going to know what to do with him, who has a sound scheme, and it's not going to be back and forth. I mean, think about the fact that, in the middle of the season, all of a sudden Ken Dorsey's calling plays, or they're installing a Ken Dorsey offense where nobody knew exactly what was going on there. So he doesn't feel like that tape is 100% useful right now. He knows what to.
Oh my God, she dropped. You there? You there?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't want to say. Mary Kay, I wish we had more time. We do have to go. I thank you so much for your time, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, Mary Kay.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Mary Kay Cabot on the Make It Right Call Kyle Wright hotline. Well, if you were watching on YouTube Live, I'm sorry I could not hide my face when she said Ty Simpson at 6. Ken Carman, Spencer, and for Tone on the Fan. 92.
through it, and I think I would actually take a chance on Ty Simpson at number 6 because I've seen enough over the years where if you're not 100% sure about a player at another position, then why not take a chance on a quarterback? I said that in 22 about Malik Willis. Take a chance on Malik Willis and see what you can develop him into. And that's how I feel about the quarterbacks in round 1.
That's Mary Kay Cabot with us moments ago. Spencer German in for Anthony Lima. Miles Simmons, Pro Football Talk. He's going to join us at 9:20. I was planning to get back to Guardians, but guys, I got to be honest with you. I've been planning this entire time. I know that it's a quarterback needy league. Boy, if you're watching on YouTube, that was. I might have to apologize for my face later.
I think it was appropriately. You were shocked. You were stunned.
I am. I'm not a person who hides I don't hide my emotions well.
Oh, no.
I'm not a stoic individual. Well, Owen, you said.
Although
I'm trying to find a way out of this. Owen, you had said that you understood the comparison, the Geno Smith thing.
She brought it. Yeah, she brought up Geno Smith and Barkevious Mingo, right? And that was what 2013.
Yeah.
What is like the worst draft in modern
One
history,
of them,
right?
Yeah, definitely, probably number 1. Yeah.
As far as the Chiefs took Eric Fisher, number 1 overall, at tackle, and then they moved him to guard at one point. They moved, I totally get what she's saying there because, yes, if we had it to do all over again, we would much rather have developed Geno Smith than watched whatever happened with Barkevious Mingo because that was a nothing.
But we wouldn't have. We would have done the same thing the Jets did. Like, that's what I keep trying to say. Like, I know Jimmy brought up the whole, well, Sam,
yeah,
I know he brought it up with you guys.
I don't think teams and organizations can even go about going, well, we always screw this up, so let's not do it anymore. Fan bases, totally. And that's why you're a fan and not working in the front office.
Like, I know he brought up the whole, Sam Darnold,
right,
when you were out in Arizona, because you were at the league meetings, and Jimmy had brought up the Sam Darnold thing. I go, yeah, but Seattle's in a position, Minnesota was in a position before when he's at Minnesota, where they could let the guy breathe for a second. We are not in a position where they let the guy breathe. That's impossible.
No, he would have to play almost immediately. I think that's a bad idea. I think Ty Simpson, wherever, he's probably best served ending up somewhere where he can sit. And that would not be here.
Well,
he'd play I would expect that especially if you take him at 6. I know Mary Kay said it doesn't mean like the end for Shedeur. Maybe she was implying like if they were to do this, he'd still be here as like a backup. But if you take Ty Simpson at 6, to me that says you're expecting him to start pretty quickly here.
I think when it comes to Ty Simpson, nice kid. I'm just using all the eraser phrases. You guys know how I feel about Ty Simpson. Yeah. Nice enough guy. Let's call it what it is. I think that there's so many organizations out there that are not the Raiders that are looking at 2027 going, if we need a quarterback, that's where we go get him at the top of the first round. That's where we get him in the first round. I've been thinking here, and I'll just say it, I think we're going to have a conversation about Ty Simpson Friday morning. Getting ready for round 2. I think we're going to go. I think Anthony and I are going to go over the first round pick at number 6, or we're more than likely going to trade back. So we're going to be going over our first round pick at number 12, and then the conversation is going to be: should we move up in the second round to go after Ty Simpson? That's what I think it's going to be. I think he's going to be there on Friday morning.
The only reason it might not is if a team really says, like, if the Jets decide they're at 33 and they're like, you know what? We want that 5th-year option, and they trade up and get him.
They may decide that, but I will be surprised.
I think he slides, and that's the thing that like sort of shocked me about Mary Kay saying at 6 she would take Ty Simpson, because you have 2 firsts, and if you think he's even going to slip a little bit, you could always trade up even from 24 to 19, 18, whatever, to try to get him if you felt like you really needed. Having 2 firsts gives you that flexibility where I don't think you have to overdo it at 6 and just take a quarterback to take a quarterback. That's the thing that sort of surprised me the most, because and I know and that's the other thing she brought up, like the hit rate of quarterbacks in the first round is about 50%. So okay, well you got 2 picks. Okay, so you can still maybe make that worthwhile, or maybe have another example of a team that takes a quarterback that has a good hit rate because it's 50-50. Yeah. I don't think it has to be at 6. I also think it was good she clarified she doesn't think the Browns will do that, because Andrew Berry continues to be adamant, like, I'm not just drafting for need, and I'm not going to sit there and be like, there's a quarterback at 6, so I'm taking him at 6. If they have other players graded ahead of Ty Simpson, I'm imagining they're going to probably prioritize those guys.
We know less. I'll say on her behalf, even though she's just spoke for herself for 20 minutes, I will say this. To try to see it halfway, and then I'm going to go to break because we got a team to give away for the fan mock draft, and we got Miles Simmons at 9:20, and I got to do Champions Post at 9:45. There were a lot of people who called up. There was one guy, but there were tweets calling up about or getting in last year about Jackson Dart. And there's a lot of people doing a victory lap about Jackson Dart and going, well, would you have taken Jackson Dart at number 2 if you could redo it overall? So maybe she ends up being right because we know as little as we've ever known about quarterbacks because of everything that's gone on in college football over the last 5 years.
There is the Todd Monken, Ty Simpson relationship there too. So
216-474-0092. The Guardians are the most liked team in Cleveland. I'll get back to them. Miles Simmons, 920. You can win a team for the fan mock draft coming up in 5 minutes on the Fan.
the best segments from all of our shows, and you can always listen on the Odyssey app. Headline Sports News continues every 20 minutes on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Mackenzie Flume.
There's only one place to hear breaking Browns news. This is the radio home of the Cleveland Browns, 92.3 The Fan.
Oh, it is time. Now, Miles Simmons joins us at 9:20, and I'm excited for Miles Simmons from Pro Football Talk because could Jeremiah Love be joining the Browns backfield this month? We'll find out with Miles coming up at 9:20. I have to ask him about the Mary Kay Cabot thing. However, caller 5, 216-474-0092. Caller 5. Right now, you call it up, 216-474-0092. You will be named a general manager of one of 32 NFL picks at our 2026 mock draft. That's the Fan Mock Draft. April 16th at Game On, located on Lorraine Road in fabulous North Olmsted. Plus, you're going to get some exclusive Bud Light gear and a buffet dinner. Yes, a buffet dinner. Plus, you're going to get some exclusive Bud Light Bud Light gear and that buffet dinner. You got to be 21 and older, though. Okay? Got to be 21 or older. With somebody on the YouTube, I checked YouTube for the first time in months. As social media reactions are brought to you by
Shivan Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store.
Someone said I'm good at taking down buffets. I've been to a buffet in a long time. I know what I look like. I know you'll say, yeah, in your bra.
How many of those still even exist?
Gosh.
I feel like
there's one at Game On coming up on April 16th. If you win, you get to take advantage of that buffet.
I mean like the restaurants though that were like
there's
pure
Chinese buffets, but like remember Old Country Buffet?
Oh yeah.
COVID really did those places.
Hometown Buffet.
There's still some Golden Corrals around.
That's what I was thinking of. Golden Corral back in the day.
I miss Old Country Buffet.
Ponderosa.
Good one.
Did you have Old Country Buffet in Oklahoma?
Let's go.
I thought you were going to go, Kenny, get your head out of your ass.
Shoney's was the best.
Shoney's did have a good buffet. That's right. Ponderosa.
Shoney's, is that local?
Yeah. No.
Shoney's was a national thing. It was.
We had a Shoney's off 77 South. I don't know if it's there anymore.
Ponderosa.
Yeah.
That was one that we had.
Yeah.
Golden Corral.
Chris in Bedford. Chris, hello.
Hello, boy.
Well, your new favorite buffet is the one at Game On, located on Lorraine Road in North Olmsted, because you are the big winner. Chris, are you excited?
Oh, I can't even believe it. I'm going to go home and I'm going to have a big party today just to celebrate this.
Well, you should.
Is there a team you really want other than the Browns?
Buffalo.
You want Buffalo?
Are you a Bills fan?
They're my second team. I like Josh Allen. I wanted Josh Allen years ago over Baker.
Oh, man. Well, I would have yelled at you, and I was
wrong.
Bowl up. Let's get that bowl going. You get the bowl. Mix up the bowl. Come on, Spencer.
All right. Ready?
I just called him John. Go ahead, Spencer. Pick her out. Go ahead.
You have the Los Angeles Chargers.
He has the Chargers. The Chargers are at, where the hell are the Chargers? 22. Pick number 22 of the Chargers.
Sorry,
all right, Chris.
Couldn't get to the Bills.
That's okay. Still gets the Chargers. That's not bad. Gets to act like Jim Harbaugh for a day. So you'll have to wash it all down with milk when you go to Game On.
Wear some khakis.
Fabulous. I'm going to put Chris back on hold, and I know that's weird. Congratulations, Chris. I have to say it out loud so I don't accidentally hang up on Chris in Bedford. So Mary Kay mentioned Ty Simpson at 6. Okay. No, I wouldn't do that.
Me neither.
Well, because I've been kind of kicking. This is a weird draft because, we keep saying like, all right, I trade down. Are we going around the room saying that we would trade down if we had to make that decision, right? Yes.
That's my ideal scenario.
Okay.
I also think it's going to be harder to do that, though. I think Mary Kay alluded to this a little bit. I think it's going to be harder than we realize.
Well, you might be stuck in some certain aspect. However, I know I'm going to rip Jonathan at 9:45. I like what Jonathan said. Jeremiah Love might be the one guy that somebody might move up from 6, 7, 8 to go get. I don't know if anybody's going to go crazy and give you a slew of picks, Ricky Williams style, but somebody might move up. Yes, Owen.
Well, I was just going to say, I know they have safeties, but man, if Caleb Downs is there, like if he's
fine player,
we've all seen him, so I know he was good in college.
Fine player.
If he's as good as they're saying that he's going to be, I think that'd be an extreme miss to not take him. Just because of who you have on the roster.
I think that depends on, like, the Dolphins need a wide receiver. They just traded Jalen Waddle. Maybe they get greedy because they love Carnell the most. But I think this wide receiver class, and part of the reason why I would be okay with the Browns trading back is because this wide receiver class is deep enough. And I don't think the drop-off from Carnell Tate, Mekhi Lemon is so far to like Tyson and Omar Cooper Jr., who I love at potentially 24. Like I think you can wait on wide receiver, so maybe. What's interesting though is like the two positions we're talking about, teams trading up for, and this is where I agree. Jeremiah Love is easily top 2 in this draft class. Like that's one of the big things in being out in Arizona and sort of just talking to people and hearing what people had to say. People love Jeremiah Love as a prospect in this draft. But what's interesting about the two positions we're talking about maybe teams trading up for is that they're two of the more devalued positions in football, like running back and safety. Are those positions that are really going to entice teams enough? Now, somebody can get crazy. Jerry Jones gets crazy sometimes.
Go ahead.
Jerry Jones gets crazy sometimes. So maybe Jerry Jones says, hey, I really love that Jeremiah Love. He did the same thing with Zeke Elliott back in the day. And maybe he's like, I got to trade up and get him. So I'm not saying you can't sell somebody on it, but I do wonder about
That's a great point, Spencer.
that.
But if I'm getting fewer sure things out of my quarterback situation here, running back becomes more valuable. Okay, because I had a guy like Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb, when he was in his prime, made life better on the quarterbacks that he played with. Made life better on Baker Mayfield. Made it an easier takeoff for Baker Mayfield. And Browns fans know that because he could fall forward and still get you 4 yards. And if Jeremiah Love can do that, and we never really tried Nick catching anything. I mean, Jeremiah Love had, 280 out of the backfield last year, 3 touchdowns, 27 catches, I think. I've memorized it by now. I mean, he's done a lot for Notre Dame. And if you could bring a guy like that in, can he be a weapon? Can you line him up in the slot? Can you make sure that he's able to get the football? Can we run some tunnels there? Can we maybe mismatch and maybe get somebody else matched up on him and see what we can do? Like, there's a lot of things that you can do. I got to be thinking of whether or not I'm stuck. Like, if I start working the phones, if nobody wants to move up, then nobody wants to move up, and I might be forced to do something here. So I have to find somebody who's going to make an impact for me. So I'm not the only person I've been pretty close-minded to, and I'm going to get the phones here in a second because we got somebody who might agree with Mary Kay. The only person I've been pretty close-minded to at 6 has been
Simpson?
Ty Simpson. Because I look at our quarterback situation. He would absolutely. Did Mary Kay mention this? Because I kind of went delirious. Ty Simpson would probably kill this quarterback conversation that we're having right now. The whole Deshaun Watson.
Said, her comment on that
Shedeur.
was she didn't think it would mean like Shedeur's just out. Like it wouldn't necessarily eliminate him. But
I think it would.
Ken, you take a quarterback at 6. You're telling everybody right there, we think this guy's good at. You take a top 10 quarterback, you're telling everybody this is our future starter at quarterback.
Yes.
So how long are you really going to start Deshaun Watson or Shedeur Sanders ahead of him before you pivot to him?
Well, I think you're. I
he
just
gets
think
put
you're
in the
going to move on
situation
from
you
the
brought
other
up
two.
earlier, where you were like, is it better for Shedeur to stay behind Deshaun because then everyone likes him more? If he's the backup, the primary backup to Deshaun to start the season or something, then it's like, when are you going to get to Ty Simpson? I want to see him.
I think you're tricked because I don't think he wants to cut anybody. Andrew has always said a million times he uses quarterbacks as their currency. So I think he'd get whatever he can for Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah.
I think he'd get whatever he can for Shedeur Sanders. I know the fans are much more excited about Shedeur than other teams, so I think he'd get whatever he can out of those guys. Remember, you're on camera when you make that face, Spencer, on YouTube Live for absolutely free, 92.3 The Fan. He would do that, and then I think it would be Deshaun Watson to start the season. It would be Ty Simpson would be his backup. And then I think you would probably either bring in another veteran somewhere off the heap. Tyler Huntley's been signed, right? So you're not bringing it. I hate to say off the heap. You're bringing in a veteran
He went
there.
back to Baltimore, yes.
Okay, Josh Johnson is with his 18th team, so you can't bring in 39-year-old Josh Johnson. So you might bring in somebody else, and that's the way you go. I mean, just saying it sounds like I'm just wasting everybody's time. I'm sorry. Let me go to the phone. Guardians won last night. They're 4-3 coming back home to Cleveland, everybody. Gavin Williams struck out 10. He was outstanding. When
Chase the Lauders back tomorrow.
When Gabby Arias hits a home run that stayed in the air for what seemed like 15 minutes, it stayed in the air like a Dylan Gabriel pass and went
I was going to say it was a rocket launch.
to dead center. That's when you know you're doing well. Sorry, guys. Fine. Nick in a car. Talk me into it.
I really don't want to talk anyone into it. At the end of the day, here, and Lyman mentioned this weeks ago, guys, we arguably have the worst quarterback room in the league, and it sucks that Ty Simpson is the second best quarterback in the draft. But Spencer, I don't think you're saying that Ty Simpson is your future. You're simply saying we don't have a quarterback. It's the most important position in all of professional sports. He's the best quarterback on the board at that point, and that's why we're taking him. Now, me personally, You guys mentioned Caleb Downs. Caleb Downs is my number one choice there because I do believe he's generational. I think he's, he's getting comparisons, Palomalu, Ed Reed, he's getting those type of comparisons, and it's not from people in Ohio. It's from, people everywhere. So he's my number one choice. But again, I'm not like banging the drum for Ty Simpson and thinking Ty Simpson is great. But guys, you have a horrendous quarterback room. It's the Jets, the Cardinals, and the Browns.
Nick, how old are you?
They're horrible quarterback rooms.
How old are you?
46.
46. Well, you sound younger. I'll give you that.
Well, thank you.
How long have you been talking about needing a quarterback for the Cleveland Browns? Your whole life, right? Basically, since you were a young kid. Since
I was around for Bernie, so those were fun days.
I was very young. I had no idea. I was very naive how good we had it at that time.
Yeah, for the record, if I ever saw Elway walking the streets, I'd punch him in his horse teeth. If that helps.
Reckless.
No,
anyway,
I agree with him.
Oh yeah, you're a Chiefs fan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's something. Well, we can all get along. Let me throw this at you, Nick. I don't want to be hand to mouth about this position anymore, and that's the way I feel. Just better than what we have isn't the answer. Better than what we have. It's like saying the same thing. Like, oh, he's better than what we've had in the past. That's not a high bar. Don't you want to click in? Let me think of this, guys. Nick, you're getting me going on a tangent, and thank you very much. I can hear the sigh, and I invite you to call in at another time, Nick, because I got to let you go because I got to get this off my chest. Spencer German in for Tone today. Not just that. For the last week, I have dealt with people, and I don't try to be mean about it because it doesn't work, and it would be silly to be mean about it. There are plenty of good Guardians fans, and they go, you guys aren't talking enough Guardians. And I understand. Guys, we live in your world. You don't live in ours. It's a 4-hour show. You get in the car for 15, 20 minutes. Damn it, you're excited about something. You get mad when we're not talking about what you're excited about. I understand it, and I apologize. And the only thing I can say is go to the free Odyssey app where we started, and we had plenty of Guardians earlier today, okay? I apologize. You can use the free Odyssey app and the Rewind feature presented by Integrated Restoration, your local experts in water, fire, and storm disaster restoration. But let me give you a future. Go with me for one more year on this. One more year. We're all in this together. We're all lifers. One more year of this. Because don't you want to envision a March of 2028? Don't you want to envision a March where it's like, hey, Gavin Williams is the number one pitcher, or Parker Messick is the number one pitcher, and Chase DeLauder. Is Chase DeLauder an MVP? Should David Blitzer be paying Chase DeLauder already? 216 instead of quarterback. Is it not the obsession? Wouldn't you think that I would like to get out of this purgatory and stop having to figure out what these guys had for breakfast and who was on whose social media about this? I'm serious, guys.
Who showed up to the facility?
I don't want it. I don't set out for anything. I understand that we have the term rage bait anymore. I don't set out to get yelled at on the internet by fans of the same teams I am because we're not talking about them at that time. I want to be released from that prison. I am willing to deal with it one more year before I can get and settle on a guy that I think is going to work for this team or give it the best crack at it we possibly can. That's the issue. When you don't have a quarterback, you do it. And I understand that there's places that maybe they have a quarterback and they're just not going to be excited about anything and they're going to be terrible. I'm not trying to be that guy. I'm not. So if you're saying, well, he's just better than what we have, that's not much. That's not much. That's not a high bar. Better than what we have is not very good.
Where are you comfortable taking Ty Simpson?
I'll tell you later after Miles Simmons joins us at 9:20 on The Fan.
content filtered right to your phone this offseason by following the Browns playlist and 92.3 The Fan on the Odyssey app. Headline Sports News continues every 20 minutes on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Mackenzie Flume.
Guys, local guy. He's on the Make It Right Call Kyle Wright hotline. Ladies and gentlemen, Miles Simmons. He's a writer, NBC Sports, Pro Football Talk. Find him on Twitter at Miles A. Simmons. Wanted to make sure I got him on that one. The great Miles Simmons joining us right now. Hello, Miles.
Hello, Ken. Nice to talk to you.
Are you you're in Los Angeles right now. It's 6:20 in the morning, isn't it?
It sure is. It's nice, dark, and early, you know. I'm up. I wake up this early every day. This is good. This is fun. And sometimes I listen to you guys, obviously. So, it's good to be able to talk to you.
The great Miles Simmons joining us here on the show. All right. So what would you do at 6? Would you let me ask you, would you trade down from 6?
Well, it depends on who's still there, right? I mean, I think if you feel like you can get a premium player at a premium position, then why shouldn't you select a player at 6, right? If Tate's there, I mean, and you want to inject some life, why would you not select him? I mean, but if he's not, then yeah, I mean, I might start looking backwards. It's weird because the Browns have so many holes, right? I think we all know that they need to fill a lot offensively. So if you feel like you can do that better by moving back from 6, potentially gaining a first-round pick, in 2027, then yeah, I'm kind of inclined to say, all right, let's go and do that. And then let's see what else we can do with all these picks that we have. But, if you feel like you get somebody that is going to be a blue chip game changer, then that's the guy you select at 6.
Can I jerk the wheel off the road for just a moment and then get back to Browns here in their draft here in just a second, Miles? Miles Simmons joining us on the show. You did spend a lot of time with the Raiders in Las Vegas. I believe they just signed Kirk Cousins. Is that correct, Owen? Yeah, they just signed Kirk Cousins.
Yes.
Could he start the season instead of Fernando Mendoza for the Raiders, or is he just a guy to kind of guide along the young man?
No, I honestly, I think he could start the season. And what's interesting is, over the course of the annual league meeting this week, I was there in Phoenix, and we were talking to Kubiak, who I really want to call Gary every time I say this, but his name is Clint because he is Gary's son. Yeah, exactly. But when we're talking to him, he really said, hey, I would much prefer having a guy for a number 1 overall pick. Well, he didn't put it this way, a rookie quarterback, I guess I should say, to learn behind. Right? You want a guy to kind of come in and show him the way. And Kirk Cousins really was only the veteran option that was out there. And so now apparently he is going to sign with the Raiders. And, I think that is going to probably be their day 1 starter. And Fernando Mendoza gets to learn over the course of the year. And I don't think, it's going to be a situation where Mendoza doesn't play at all in his first year. I think rookie quarterback contracts, especially those that are, selected in the first round, kind of prohibit that. You want them to get out there and learn, and I don't think that the Raiders are, going to start the season 6-0, and then you're going to say, oh, my gosh, how can you possibly take Kirk Cousins out of there? But, yeah, Cousins gives them that chance to be the starter to start the year. Mendoza learns, then Mendoza gets in there at a certain point later on. So that's kind of the way I see it.
Miles, you mentioned getting back to the Browns here, trying to potentially trade back, but we know obviously it takes 2 to tango in that regard. Does it feel like this year there won't be as large of an appetite for teams trying to trade up in the draft, given what we've kind of heard about this class and it maybe being like a down year just in general, not necessarily a lot of quarterbacks that teams are coveting? And if there is a market for it, what players at the top of the board do you think need to be there at 6 for a team to potentially jump up?
Gosh, it's interesting because I don't think it's Ty Simpson, right? Then that's kind of the guy that's going to be, the second quarterback probably off of the board. But it's going to be interesting because will it be a Tate, right? I don't know. Will it be a Jeremiah Love, who it doesn't seem like is going to get past the number 5 overall pick? Those are the guys that I think if one of them starts to slip, then you're saying to yourself, okay, there's going to be somebody who wants to come up and get that premium kind of offensive player. Otherwise, it's a deep draft apparently for kind of defensive linemen, and I'm not necessarily the draft nut of the world, so that's kind of my understanding of it. But I think that because there aren't quarterbacks, you are probably going to have less movement, right? It seems like that's kind of the case that usually happens. It's not like it's 2024, where we've got all these guys that you think, oh my gosh, well, maybe they'll go in the first round, and then basically all of them end up going in the top 10, top 12, whatever it was. I think because of that, you're probably going to get less movement.
Miles Simmons joining us here on the show. So is there it feels like every player that's possible at 6 is a hot take. Is there someone specifically you want to avoid?
Ooh, somebody that I want to avoid.
Yes.
I don't know. Not necessarily. I mean,
so Ty Simpson's in play for you at number 6, like Mary Kay told us an hour ago?
I didn't realize that's where you were going with that.
Yeah, why you were feeping. What happened?
Well, yeah. I because Ty Simpson to me is not somebody that's, I don't know, like in the top 20 of who I would think would go off of the board. I mean, it's somebody who I think is potentially a good quarterback in the right system. But also, when you look at what Ty Simpson did, and I'm not necessarily going to be like a Dan Orlovsky or what and say, wow, this is so impressive. Simpson had good moments. He also had some really, really bad moments, right? And so I don't think that if we're talking about quarterbacks, there's one that I'm saying, yeah, I'm going to spend a top 10 pick on other than Fernando Mendoza. I mean, and Fernando Mendoza is not slipping. It's funny. I mean, you get people saying, oh, well, he's a possible number 1 overall pick. I don't know why we're not just using the language of likely, probable. And this is basically going to happen. And I don't know why it wouldn't at this point, unless Fernando Mendoza falls off the face of the earth, right? It's just the way that this is going to be. So I don't think that there is any other quarterback worthy of being selected probably in the top, let's call it 10, 15 picks. I certainly would not go with Simpson at 6.
Miles Simmons joining us on the Make It Right, Call Right hotline. You mentioned Tate's name. Is he maybe this is a little too extreme, but is he a generational talent? And is the rest
here
of the,
we go.
Is the rest of the class so far off from him that teams need to feel, or the Browns need to feel maybe as the best example, that they have to take him at 6 or in the top 10?
Like I said, if he is at 6, then that's somebody that I think would make a lot of sense to add to the team, right? I mean, I still watch Ohio State. I still understand that is really WRU, right?
Yeah.
So if you can get somebody who is a part of that sort of legacy and put him on the team, especially with a team that, can't seem to really catch the football at the wide receiver position, then I don't necessarily know why you wouldn't do that. But, that depends on him being there, right? And so there's a lot of other things that the Browns need. They need some offensive linemen, right? You still really haven't been able to solve the offensive tackle position. That's something that I would think that they might want to do. So it's not like you're trying to say, oh my gosh, it's a can't miss prospect. But if you just want to get more explosive, then yes. And if it so happens that Tate's off the board and maybe you move down a couple of picks, and I don't necessarily know why you would be able to do this, but let's just go with it in theory, and you can pick up a guy like Kyle Emmett, then I also think he really helps the offense because he can catch the darn ball, right? So that's something where I can see certainly a lot of scenarios where, yeah, the Browns are going to go either with somebody like a Tate on offense, or maybe they move back if they can and pick up a Lemon on offense, or they pick up an offensive lineman and then they pick up a receiver later on in the first round.
Miles Simmons joining us, Pro Football Talk NBC Sports. Follow him on Twitter at Miles A. Simmons. With the lineman, why do people just like Andrew Berry had a really nice draft last year, and I know labels, it takes a long time to get labels off you, but it seems like every crazy theory, because Browns fans click on anything football, but every crazy theory has us doing something. It's like, guys, the Jets are in the top 10 too. Like, you can't put it on the Jets as well. Like, well, they're gonna force Monroe Freeling. Oh, they're gonna force Caden Proctor. They're gonna force Ty Simpson. Why can't I get a little bit of a benefit of the doubt from last year? Or is it still like, hey, you know what? Your legend precedes you. One good draft isn't going to change much.
I mean, I'm fall more into the latter camp of one good draft, and we'll see. I mean, because even though you got good players at good positions, where are the premium players at the premium positions, right? And by premium positions, I mean left tackle. It's had a long time to solve left tackle and haven't solved it, right? Quarterback. Had a long time to solve quarterback, haven't solved it. You know, edge rusher, obviously Myles Garrett was already there. And, oh, my gosh, he's one of the best that's ever done it. So, you know, that's one thing. And you could say the same, Denzel Ward, he's been there. So that's where I am looking at it. And, yes, Fannin, great. You know, I want to see more from Shedeur Sanders. We'll see what happens there. You know, when you're looking at running back, obviously you want to see more there, too. I want to see coverage from the injury and things like that. So I think that it's positive, but when you are still looking at all the holes that you have at the premium positions, you still need to be able to solve that. And so that's why I'm kind of like, I don't know how much benefit of the doubt you get when you've been in the position as long as you have and you still have the holes that you have.
Miles, I'm sure you at least saw some of what the Browns' top leader said on the quarterback conversation out in Phoenix this week. What do you think they're going to do, or where do you think they're leaning right now when it comes to the quarterback position, and who will maybe start the season? What do you think they should do when it comes to naming a starter for the quarterback position? Sorry.
You know, okay. No,
we got to ask. I think we got to ask everybody at this point.
I know. No, and it's and you know, if I weren't from Cleveland and if I didn't grow up, you know, the way I grew up wearing Kelly Holcomb jerseys to school, then I think I would feel differently about the Browns quarterback situation. But I did. And so this is where I can't separate my fandom and my birthright of the Browns from what I see, you know, and how I am a reporter and trying to be objective and all these different things. I understand that Deshaun Watson is there. I understand that they're going to be paying him either way. I just don't want to see it. Like, I'm sorry. I've had enough. I think we've all kind of had enough. I get fresh start, new coaching staff. It's great. And I get, okay, we've seen a player do this once. And good coaches always say this. If we've seen a player do it once, our job is to make sure that he does it every single time. But hell, 2020 was number 4's last good season. And you know how long ago 2020 is in football years? Like, that is really a generation and a half at this point. So I don't understand how you could possibly count on number 4 doing anything, right? So I would much rather see Shedeur Sanders. I hope that they rig the competition, if that's what they're going to call it, in favor of him, because I think that he's the only quarterback currently on the Browns roster with any sort of upside. And I'm not even saying that he played great last year. I think he did some nice things at some points. There's obviously a lot that he needs to improve, but I would just rather see it, rig the game for him, and let's see what he can do. And then if you're in the position that you need to select a quarterback next year, fine. But I just don't want to see it from number 4 ever again.
We having replacement refs this year?
Probably. I mean, you know, what was really interesting this week, you know, at the league meetings is you heard from different league officials basically talking about how they want accountability and improvement in performance. And that's what the NFL wants to see. And they're getting apparently a lot of resistance from the NFL Referees Association on that. And the CBA between the NFL and the NFLRA expires at the end of May. The NFL is already preparing to hire replacement refs. They passed a resolution this week, a rule change, whatever, you know, bylaw proposal, whatever exactly it was, where they're going to be able to help out the replacement refs, you know, in basically almost any situation on the field, which is something that was very, very different the last time we had replacement refs in 2012. The infamous Fail Mary happened and all that. They're going to put in guardrails and procedures so that if mistakes happen, they can get corrected really quickly. But I think what was so interesting was that Goodell has praised the officiating. He did it, you know, back in February in his press conference. The tone has obviously shifted. It's obviously changed. I think part of that's a negotiation tactic to try and put as much public pressure on the Referees Association as they can. Problem is, I don't necessarily know that we get much pushback from the NFLRA, and so I kind of find it hard to just side with a big corporation with the NFL when it comes to stuff like this. But if the points of contention really are accountability and improvement in performance, gosh darn it, it sounds like the NFL has a really good case here. So I kind of want to see a little more pushback from the NFLRA. What is it that they are actually demanding? What is it that they actually want? But bottom line at this point is, it looks like we are headed toward replacement refs, at least to start the 2026 season.
Miles, thank you very much for the time. All the best, buddy.
Appreciate it, Miles.
All right, take care, guys.
Miles Simmons, NBC Sports Pro Football Talk. Follow him on Twitter, Miles A. Simmons, local guy who's on the Make It Right Call Kyle Wright hotline. Coming up in 5 minutes, I know it's killing him, but it's okay to admit I'm right once in a while. Ken Carman, Spencer in for Tone on the Fan. Window Nation in your home.
turn saved listings into real addresses. Get started at redfin.com. Own the dream.
This is the only place to trust for Cavs talk anytime you want. Cleveland's Sports Radio, 92.3 The Fan.
Tom Withers walking by. He'll be joining them for Basket and Phelps.
Find out who he'd take at
coming
6.
up at 10. Yes,
he said
fabulous man.
He's got a lot of options. Maybe one of them's Ty Simpson.
Fabulous man, that Tom Withers. You
He's
can't have but I can't get into it with him like I get into it with you. Like I can't get into a shouting match with Tom Withers. Impossible.
Why? Because you respect Tom Withers?
I respect Spencer. I respect you. We yell at each other.
You feel like no matter what Tom says, you just got to be like, you know what? You're right.
Yeah. There is he's... He was like the Cleveland sports Helen Thomas before he retired, which the only thing I mean is that he got to ask the first question every time. That's all I meant. That's all I meant. That's all I meant. Okay? And so Tom, there is a gravitas there. I mean, I've been hearing Tom in press conferences for how long? It's hard. Yeah, it's hard not to do that. I respect you guys, but the difference is we yell at each other. That's all. All right. It's nice to know I'm right, by the way. Yesterday, right at the end of the show, Keith got very agitated with me. He's like, you should have done your champion's pose. You should have done your victory lap. I go, Keith, I didn't get a chance to read the article. I got to read and comprehend the article. It came out right as we were coming back from break. This Jalen Hurts article about how much of a malcontent he is with the Philadelphia Eagles and how he's just calling his own plays and doing what he wants to do, and Eagles teammates are upset. There's an ESPN article, a bunch of other articles they were talking about at WIP in Philadelphia, our sister station, and he wanted me to take a victory lap, and I'm going, Keith, if I've learned anything, it's to wait before I take victory laps over these last so many years. So I got to read the thing. And, so you missed an opportunity. So I read the articles. I read the answers to the article. And I felt like a victory lap was coming to me because we had a famous fight a couple of weeks ago between me and both the guys in the afternoon it turned into because they said they wanted to trade number 6 overall for Jalen Hurts. I don't know how they got on Jalen Hurts. It just turned into they would trade number 6 overall for Jalen Hurts, and I went completely crazy because we're begging for anybody other than the quarterback room that we have. And it's just like the call we had from, I think it was John and Medina maybe. I might be wrong about that. I usually write them down, and I just ripped up that paper and threw it away because we're getting ready to get out of here. But we had a call earlier, and it was Nick. It was Nick in a car who was he wanted me to consider Ty Simpson at 6. And my reasoning against it was just because he's better than what we have, or you perceive he's better than what we have, doesn't mean he's the answer. Now, I'm willing to wait, and this will be met with some problems one more year. If it doesn't work out with Shedeur or Deshaun, fine, so be it. I think 2027 is going to be a good class the way she goes. When I'm hearing about Jalen Hurts, I'm going, Jalen Hurts is going to, with the weapons that he has around him. I mean, they have an argument about trading A.J. Brown every single day at WIP in Philadelphia, but you got A.J. Brown, you got a good offensive line, you got Saquon Barkley. I mean, it's an embarrassment of riches that he works with. I don't think number 6 overall for Jalen Hurts is going to make our football team that much better. And then this article comes out. I'm going, oh, man, beautiful for my argument. Not very fun for Eagles fans, but beautiful for my argument. And I didn't say a word. I didn't get a chance to yesterday. Peterlin, though, he had the first volley.
This is not a champion's pose situation because Jalen Hurts, for the 7 millionth year in a row, is having problems with the Philadelphia Eagles. Like, water's wet, off-season report has the Eagles and Jalen Hurts not quite getting along. Same thing. This happens every single offseason. This doesn't diminish his value in the same way that Lamar Jackson, when the Baltimore Sun came out with their report, didn't diminish Lamar Jackson's value either. Like, if you are of a certain caliber of quarterback, and he's not Lamar, obviously, but if you're of a certain caliber of quarterback, and I don't know, the guy that went to 2 Super Bowls and then beat Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl would qualify under this umbrella. You get to have these offseason conversations, and it doesn't negate your value in the slightest bit, in my opinion. So having one ESPN report from Jeremy Fowler, which says a lot of the same things we've already been talking about with Jalen Hurts for years on end, doesn't all of a sudden make what was at one point, I don't know,
a hypothetical?
A hypothetical at best. It doesn't all of a sudden make it not true. If the going rate for defensive players of extreme caliber are multiple first-round picks, then a quarterback that, even if he's the 10th best quarterback in the NFL, is still going to be multiple first. And that includes whatever 6th overall pick you want to put in there as well.
Do I even need to say anything, or did Jonathan make my point for me? You said it happens every year. So why do I think the Browns are going to fix that?
Tom Munkin?
You said that you have the conversation with Lamar, and then you turn right around and say he's not Lamar Jackson. I don't need to say anything about that. You just said it happens every year with Lamar in Baltimore, and then you said he's not Lamar. Your Honor, no further questions. I don't need to say anything. Yeah, it happens every year. I know it's old hat to you. The Browns are the one to fix that. It happens every year with a good franchise, with a good team around them. We have a good defense too, with a good defense. Happens every year with them. Oh, they don't like Jalen Hurts. Happens every year. The Browns are going to be the one to get that on the right track. Okay.
But Ken, I don't see you clasping your two hands together and raising them. I forgot.
We are on YouTube Live. We are on YouTube Live for absolutely free.
Champions pose. Up your nose with the rubber hose. And champions pose.
Boom. Yeah, I forgot. We're on YouTube Live for free. 92.3 The Fan.
Admittedly,
I didn't have to say anything. I didn't have to make points and all this other stuff. I didn't have to turn into Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. It was just Jonathan doing it for me. I love it when my work's done for me. This is great. I'm going to kick up my feet for the rest of the show here. If I can get my fat ass up there. You can't. I got it. I just don't know if I can talk
tie your shoelaces on the right side.
I can tie them in the middle. Thank you very much. I just got to get real close. I might slip off this chair. That's going to hurt me.
Admittedly, Ken.
Yeah.
I would trade the 6th-round pick, or 6th overall pick for Jalen.
Yeah, because you're a desperate fool. That's why.
You don't think Jalen Hurts is
what?
Okay. Based on the conversation
better than what we have?
Hold on.
If he's better than what we have, then we're going
to have time for you to make this argument.
Mary Kay said she would take Ty Simpson at 6.
All right, and I disagree with Mary Kay about Ty Simpson at 6.
Okay, so if the options were you trade 6 for Jalen Hurts or you take Ty Simpson.
I'm just going to go with what I have. Why do I need – why – you guys keep acting desperately.
I think you're scared.
No, I didn't make this mistake.
I think you said no to every other quarterback. Kyler Murray.
I will plant my
Jalen
because
Hurts.
They suck. That's why I'm not making that argument. No, Jalen Hurts doesn't suck.
You just don't want
Kyler Murray
any
doesn't suck when he's healthy and he's paying attention.
There's the anybody but Shador crowd, and then there's the Ken. I don't want anybody crowd.
Because I don't want to sit here and keep doing time in Brown's prison. I'm trying to find a way out of Brown's prison. I don't need to keep adding on years. I mean,
I think Jalen Hurts with Todd Monken calling the shots.
See, this is what he's doing. I got
gives
parole.
You some hope.
I've listened to Larry Lawton. Okay, I got parole coming up next year, and all you're trying to do is entice me into a fight to add on to my sentence here. I'm not going to shank you over this. Okay, it ain't going to happen. Jonathan made my point for me, so it's been a fun show, and I'm glad to take a segment off there. Thanks to Jonathan. It's a nice time for me. This is not a champion's pose. Feels like a champion's pose. He should take a champion's pose. He made the argument for me. Thanks to Mary Kay Cabot. Thanks to Miles Simmons. Thanks to the Cleveland Guardians for being 4-3 on the road. Coming back, getting us excited for opening day tomorrow. Lyman back tomorrow. Coming in hot 9:45. 1 day from now. Make sure you're ready. Bye. Hey, sounds good.
Where's your entourage now?
Cool, I got on the last show.
Oh, boy.
This is an Odyssey Sports Minute.
The speculation is over in Lawrence. Bill Self